Hello, everyone. Okay,
Yo,
this is working.
what is up, YouTube? Yeah, hopefully I am no longer muted.
Yeah, you should be good.
Okay.
We popped into reality. What's up, everyone? It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Too long.
Colin and I are back from the land down under.
Yes. Honestly,
The
needed
sleep
to.
schedule did take a little bit to get back in order,
Yeah.
but
For some reason, it really doesn't like when I tab over to
wait. It
one of these
says
windows.
was working before you talk. What?
Hmm?
I don't know.
Already got questions starting. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, it just has some weird oddities I'm trying to get organized right now, so. Challenger TCG tech boomers confirmed. I'll never be able to escape the allegations.
How does it feel to have the hardest best of photos? Feels great.
They're only going to get harder from here. The team is on a gem arc now that we're enforcing. Very forced to gem arc.
Yeah.
Well,
We're all
not
gonna
until.
have JoJo character aura
Yeah,
and bodies.
exactly. That's one
Yeah.
thing that we actually talk about sometime in the card game space. You like play against another card game player, and there's like an aura you can sense about them. Oh, what's up, Nova? Thanks for the Prime sub.
Oh, we're
Yes,
getting Prime subs.
give us
Much appreciated.
all of China's or all of Jeff Bezos' money. Exactly.
China's money.
Yeah, China's money too. So
Yeah, we need to hit up a Chinese event.
yeah,
You guys didn't hear, by the way, there is regional like qualifiers for basically any of the RQs that happen in the West are queuing for either NA or EU, or if you get multiple invites, you can go to both. So a good portion of our team will be going to NA and EU. None of us have China invites, so but because you can
yeah,
only get those through Chinese events, we may have to do a China side quest at some point. But I think most of the team's probably happy just going to both EU and NA.
yeah. We can do it either way. So sorry, there's someone mowing outside my door right now. That was very loud. So hopefully my mic doesn't pick it up too much.
Bench 2 plays to join Challenger, new requirement. True.
I think I'm at 205 right now. So give me like another couple weeks to get back into it, and then we can get to that point, right? So let's see. Our first question: what's the problem with Draven in this meta? It's funny you'd ask that. I was kind of doing a kind of a recap thing, going through all 40 legends for one of our caster friends who's going to be casting for Vancouver. She was just asking for like general tips about everything, and when I got to Draven, I was like, yeah, what happened to this guy? He used to be he used to be it. He was the guy, right? But I think he's just like too fair into this current meta, is what it seems like.
Yeah.
At least that's my take on it.
Yeah, I also think Aurora being more prevalent is difficult for Draven. Like Purple Aurora was already a really bad matchup.
Yeah.
Um, so like he has more unfavorable matchups in the format.
Yeah, I think that was definitely part of it. And why we initially wrote it off was like pretty much every other color combination has some sort of answer to Aurora, right? That's not too bad.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think it's, I mean, well, like I did end up getting 10th on Draven, so it's not like it's a terrible deck. This one's
Yeah, I
just
mean that's
doing,
almost making top 8.
yeah. I mean, same record as me.
Looks
Should have got
pretty.
my hair cut before I got this photo. My haircut looks a lot better now. So future,
what,
hopefully we get another best of, and we'll have a better photo to use.
what was the Draven doing anything? It was all pretty much just looks like
I
old
mean,
cards,
this
right? I guess
looks,
we did get Dread in the deck. We got a Baron
yeah.
Nashor in the deck.
So he's got two Vex, one Baron Asher, two Dread. I think those are. Is that it for his new cards? It was
Yeah,
still
all the
going with.
battlefields are old battlefields. All the sideboard card. Now he's got 2 Star-Crossed in the board as well.
Yeah, I think I like. I would have liked maxing on Ferris Forerunners with no, now that we know what the meta is like, obviously this card's unplayable into LeBlanc, but it's still pretty good into most other things. I mean, there are a lot of Starcross decks, so maybe that's part of it too. But yeah,
Or
um, yeah, one hard bargain. Honestly, just look like super stock Draven. So
yeah, but hey, still
um,
making 10th place. Like clearly the
yeah,
deck can still take a positive record.
yeah, just
Um,
dodge Aurora and you'll be okay.
yeah, just dodge Aurora for sure.
Yeah,
How does like the Hook LeBlanc matchup play into Draven? Seems like that would probably also not be great for them.
yeah, I think Draven just gets rolled.
Like you do have to give them combats though, right? Because you have to go to make your tokens. You like have to give them combats.
Yeah, I can pull up the doc and we can use that as a reference since I needed to do this anyways. It's just gonna because oh sorry, it's in light mode. I apologize.
Light mode. Everybody's burning their
Yeah,
eyes.
unfortunate. Um 405 deadlift, goddamn. Yeah, I can see why it'll be easy for you to get on the team at that rate, Nova. Just keep the lifts up. You gotta be what is it? The 2-3-4, bench 2, squat 3, deadlift 4. That's the team requirement now. Yeah. Thanks for the prime, Nibs.
Much appreciated. 3 months, Nibs. Much appreciated. Thanks for the
Uh,
Bezos bucks.
so I think this is the overall matchup matrix. We're gonna look at Draven. So overall, it's got like a pretty. This is so funny. Well, so this is the main reason why we ended up dropping it. So it had 36% win rate into LeBlanc in general, which is pretty bad. 38 into Aurelia is pretty bad. 40 into Diana is pretty bad. 43 into Vex is pretty bad. And then a whopping 0% into Misfortune.
You don't
Oh,
say.
0 and 9. It's
Jesus.
yeah, pretty bad. Oh,
17% into Sivir. Yeah.
17% into Sivir, slightly better.
Yeah, like Purple Aurora, you just get rolled, man.
Yeah, 0% to Ari as well. This was like one of the decks that we talked about in set 2 that was like actually pretty good into Draven. For whatever reason. Your stuff just lined up super well with theirs, so yeah. When it comes to the specific problems with Draven, I mean outside of that, it still had like a 54% win rate, which is pretty high, all things considered, compared to a lot of decks out there. Even some of the uh, top of the field like Aurelia and Master Yi were pretty close to that, right? It's just his matchup, Draven's matchup spread is so lopsided with everything that it's just like you're gonna run into some of your bad matchups and just auto lose, right? So
Yeah, and there are very prevalent decks in the format too, like LeBlanc and Purple Aurora are like very represented decks.
for sure. So yeah. Your thoughts on Diana's place in the meta? I think Diana's a top 3 deck. I think I have one of these tabs over here as my preemptive tier list that I'll tab over there when we want to have a bit more of a discussion. It's all already set though, so I can't drag things around. So once I go there, it's just out there for the world to see. So we gotta milk that one a little bit more. Wait for people to load in since we just started.
Yeah. Where's Alex and how does Rune Runner feel in this meta? Uh, Alex is still around. He'll be in Vancouver with everybody. Yeah, he's
Hmm.
just not helping with the streams as much these days. He's got other priorities.
Yeah.
Um, and as far as Rune Runner feels in the meta, well, Colin cited it in Sydney, and then he said he never played it, so I guess it didn't feel that great, at least out of set. I do think out of Yi, it's still pretty good. It's like nice to have a unit that Aurora like Elder can't kill or target, but like
Hmm.
they still can hit you with like the flurry of blades. So like they still have ways to take it out, or if they just have literally any other body on the board, depending on the style of Aurora deck, like they could just run their guy into your untargetable unit. So probably
Yeah.
still would see playing Yi, but I don't know. I don't. What do you think, Colin?
And the only reason I played Camel as a one of was because I was kind of afraid of the Ezreal pack deck in case that become popular, and I literally had nothing else that I wanted in that sideboard slot. So that's the specific reason why I included it in set. I think there's still some places for the card, like at Illusion, obviously. You kind of just want something that you can set up the combo for and not really have a care in the world. But at most decks, it's just so slow, man. Like, what are we talking about here? You can pay 6 for a guy that wastes that's 5 might and waits an entire turn, and we can pay 5 for a 6 might that immediately gets in, or a 5 might that immediately gets in and stuns something. We just have so many faster options than playing this camel out of most decks. I still think it's fine in like Master Yi Proving Grounds, just because it does get the extra might buff, and then like obviously a punch first and on guard and stuns and all this stuff to make the camel like really sticky. So I could test with it a little bit more into the format if I really wanted to, but my only real loss was to Azir, and Camel doesn't really help in that matchup, so I think it's just not necessary in set.
Yeah, that makes sense. What are you guys' thoughts on Lilia? Is she really that low in the meta?
I think she's just, I mean, I'm intending on writing a Lilia guide at some point, just because I think she's a cool legend, so hopefully have that out before the end of next month is my current goal. Because I think she is cool and unique, but you just kind of look at the data, and she has a lot of problem matchups, even outside of like her one real issue and Vex Apathetic, right? Where
Yeah.
in any deck that's playing that, you're just gonna struggle severely. Honestly, actually, it didn't have a terrible Vex win rate at 40%, which is surprising, at least compared to some of the other stuff. But like, yeah, Master Yi is just unbeatable for Lilia
Yeah, I mean, all
because
minimum they're blocking for 4s and your sprites are 3s. So
yeah, exactly. Like there's just nothing that you can do there. LeBlanc is pretty bad. Aurelia is like okay, I guess, but still probably not ideal. You're not great into the Aurora decks either, so I think your position in the meta is just very, very awkward. You're like kind of bad into all the good decks. I think yeah, from everything else I can see is like you're good into all of the bad decks, just because you're
yeah.
you're doing something that is pretty cool. But all of like the broken LP decks are just gonna kind of go over the top of you with Lilia. So, um, yeah. Set a file private or able on Discord? No, I think this is all public. I know one of our Discord guys made it, so yeah, I can maybe link it in both for people that want to see it. Says a
No
ton
one
of
seems to be working on. Oh, sorry. Go, Colin.
has a ton of good information in it. This is just the matchup spreadsheet is the one that I'm currently on. So
Someone says no one seems to be working on Vex guides or having much discussion about the latest list, but it seems very popular. Why do you think that is? We are actually working on a Vex guide,
hmm
but yeah, there's. Uh, I think that the deck is just kind of like solved. I feel like obviously there's still tweaks that can be made to these lists. I do think like there's still some cards to play around with, but for the most part, like the game plan of the deck is very solved. It's a very linear deck, right? It's just like Mastery. You're just trying to stick a guy in a battlefield and sit there all game and hold up interactions so that you can prevent your opponent from breaking your battlefield. And like there's not
yeah,
really too much more to the deck, like so it's kind of hard to really innovate on a whole deck that just is pretty simple.
this guy's list was pretty interesting. It didn't actually have much in terms of like actual interaction spells and stuff. I don't even know why he was playing this Sona in this list. He's just got like a bunch of hidden cards, some
Yeah, he was very
disciplines.
hidden heavy.
Yeah, and I mean, literally to the point where he's playing the Ember Monks, which is crazy. But yeah,
Yeah.
so it was just playing as like a weird Teemo deck almost. I guess worked for him, obviously,
Yeah, he
getting
got top
top
8. I
four.
mean, yeah.
Yeah,
Like
pretty good.
top 4, yeah. I
Not
mean,
too
yeah, the
shabby.
deck is
So,
still strong. Like what the deck can do, especially if you can win your dice rolls all day, like you could probably have a really high win rate. And yeah, I think there's like multiple. I think the Kha'Zix was kind of interesting too. I thought that was kind of interesting. Maybe like that was part of the reason he was playing Sona too, because Sona can untap 4, which gives you exactly enough for purple Kha'Zix.
hmm someone mentioned set win rate being pretty good, and yeah, it was. I think overall, I mean, I didn't have any like matchups I just felt like terrible sitting across the table from. Obviously, Draven is still a problem. Aurora decks are still annoying, but you're probably favored into them. Um, yeah, obviously, I'm still playing set, and we'll probably be playing set for Vancouver. So, obviously, I think the deck is still pretty good. I think it has definitely its faults, just like any deck. But I mean, you'll look at this, and even our best decks up here, and like Master Yi and Aurelia, they still have some bad matchups. You know, Yi's not the greatest into the Aurora decks. Like it had 9% win rate into Sivir. Like Master Yi Proving Ground is pretty much always going to get rolled by Aurora, but it's pretty favorable into everything else, right? Aurelia, pretty favored into most things, but still struggles into Victor, Azir, Fiora Aurelia, apparently is an interesting one. Kha'Zix is a problem, so on and so forth. So pretty much every deck. Oh, I spoiled the tier list that I have there. Oopsies. It's my history of tabbing through things.
Well, I do think that answers one of the questions we got earlier, which is basically asking if we were gonna update, if has there been any tier list changes based on the tournament data. So spoiler, yeah, Colin and I will talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah, this is one that I personally made, so this is going to be Anton's first time looking at it as
Oh,
well.
sure. So I'll shake
Yeah,
my fists in rage, and
yeah,
then I'll
you
just
can let me know if there are things to edit here or there. And this was just like all general vibes. Just kind of move some things around based on where things are. Kha'Zix non-Aurora. I think the deck's good. I like it a lot. There's some cool stuff that it can do. I think it's got like a good LeBlanc matchup, and that's at least a good place to start. So yeah. Vex, if you don't win the die roll, it's very difficult to win. Yeah, the only thing I didn't get to actually talk to this guy, so I am curious how many die rolls the Vex player actually won. Because yeah, going second with the Vex deck is just like a miserable, right?
yeah.
That's
He was
part
on
of
the
the
boots. You do
yeah.
need to be on boots to at least make going second playable. So at least he has
Yeah,
a little bit of spice. The treasure hunter's really weird to me, man.
I'm guessing
Like
it's
this is not a
just
hold unit, you know?
yeah, it's just for the gold for all the hiddens, is I'm guessing the
Yeah.
intention behind it, but just like a random 2 of just feels so weird. I think it's just for me, like, yeah, the way that this deck is built, right? It's just very, very strange to me. And I think going second, it's like even worse than just the fact that they're ahead on points and you eventually have to get over. It's also the fact that like normally when you're going first and you go the 2 drop into slam my Vex on the battlefield and like hide a card, the only thing you have to deal with is their 2 drop, right? Or their 3 drop or 3 energy unit. But like once it comes to the fact that you're going second and you try to make the same line, you're potentially dealing with like 2 drop plus Nox is hopeful, which is like a nightmare. You just can't make the line of slam a 2 drop plus play your Vex onto a battlefield in that specific spot, right? Or even some 4 drops are nightmarish because they can just trade for your Vex as soon as it goes on the board. So um, yeah, I think that's my issue with the Vex deck. Going second sucks, and I want to play a deck that at least has decent odds going second. So why yellow set over orange set? That's a question I get all the time. It's just it's a different deck. That's really all I can say about the difference in set is just a completely different deck. So I wouldn't
Yeah,
even
Brawler is trying to break into battlefields. Kingpin's trying to set up massive holds. They're just
yeah.
doing two different things.
Says favorite into row. How do you deal with the Elder Dragon once it hits the table? You just don't let it hit the table. You play 3 Sabos. I mean, you can see my list on here somewhere. Um, but yeah, if it hits the table, yeah, you're probably. I mean, you just have Hidden Blade is the only way to get rid of it. But yeah, we had 3 Sabos main, and then out of the board we have the 2 Ash, and then we have 2 Auctions to steal the thing in the first place. If it hits the board, then like yeah, your only real answer is to beat it with like a Vi to stun it for the turn, but or Hidden Blade it, but you just don't let it hit the board. Try to kill him beforehand with with the showstoppers and stuff, but there's not really a better option, I'm afraid.
Someone asked if I would be doing Volibear in Utrecht. I don't know. Uh, I like the bear a lot, and he's like definitely one of my favorite legends to play. But I also just like playing different Aurora decks. So like maybe just trying to do the full Aurora gauntlet of best ofs would be pretty cool too. So we'll
Yeah.
see.
I was planning on doing a set guide, but it's update, but it's unlikely before Vancouver. It'll probably be in between Vancouver and Utrecht when we have like that 1 week break. Just because I still have to do some more testing for it myself. I think my list was pretty far from perfect. I didn't have much testing on it, so hopefully I'm gonna get some more testing in on it this week to update it, and then I'll have some more info for people that are into it. So yeah, I think set overall obviously is good. It was good enough for me to go ninth, and that was with me scooping to Daniel. So, but I do think that the Hook LeBlanc is a nightmare for the deck, which it sucks having my own creation take me down, but um, yeah, that's just how it is. Once they set up their engine, if you let it go, then it's going to be a problem. I mean, if you can like Fey Folk all of their units that matter off, then it's probably fine. But yeah, so that can be tough. So, um, yeah, some people
Someone
asking
asked,
about
what are our thoughts on the Yi deck? Like the
uh,
best of deck?
yeah, the two
So
Y's now. You always got to be more specific. But
yeah,
I
there's
see a lot
always like
of
Yi
what do
Aurora and
you
Yi mid range.
what do you think about? So we can move on to the tier list. I'm curious your take on it as well, Anton.
Okay.
This was my initial reaction with everything that I saw, where I kind of put everything um, at least in my personal opinion, as to where things kind of lie. So
I mean, this looks pretty reasonable.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, Yi being an S is, I think Yi is insane right now for sure.
yeah,
Obviously Aurelia is crushing it like by the numbers. Like she's just making in China. I mean, just making large, taking a large portion of the top cut.
hmm
She obviously won Sydney as well. So like, yeah, Aurelia is definitely still a crazy deck.
yeah. It kind of just started for me with like what the clear best five decks are, which I think are these five, and it's not particularly close. Um, I think that they're kind of leagues ahead of everything else, right? Um, and then we kind of have like the A tiers, which this maybe even be like one of the more questionable ones in my eyes. And I'm not sure where Annie
Sure.
ended up actually. Annie ended up like at a 50% win rate with like some pretty terrible matchups, 9% to Aurelia, including Prismat, which who lost to it this time around. Although originally he like had that crazy run where he got the top four where he beat like 10 or 11 Aurelias, but maybe it was just more teched into it then. Um, is that Aurora Yi mid range? We haven't really seen much Aurora Yi, to be honest. This is for mid range specifically. I don't really know where I'd put Aurora Yi. It's probably still like an A tier deck,
Probably
maybe B
somewhere in
tier.
A. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just a little bit like less consistent. If all you're going for is to win with Aurora, then you might as well just play Sivir, right?
Yeah. I mean, 60% win rate is crazy for like an Aurora deck. You know,
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
absurd. This deck's just very consistent. Too. I
yeah,
mean, we had this at the top of our tier list and our speculative list too, and yeah, it turns out this deck is pretty busted.
yeah. Notably, Garen in his own tier. I saw somebody mention Garen's actually not even the worst legend that's here anymore, which I think is crazy. Um, I think if it were like actually Garen's probably even like
Yeah,
I don't
just
know,
because
probably like
Garen can play like Yellow
he's
Aurora now, like
yeah,
he can still Yellow Aurora is actually in a spot where like realistically this guy probably could be C tier
yeah,
nowadays,
he's
but
probably C tier to be honest, just on like a level, but
yeah,
he's
but for the memes, he's
for the
always been
memes.
there. Yeah, we gotta keep him there.
If somebody wanted to know what the actual worst legend in the game, it is Ivern. Ivern is
Oh,
probably like
is it truly Ivern? Oh,
yeah, yeah, it's Ivern for
poor
sure.
Ivern.
It's not
Poor
close.
Ivern.
So, yeah, I think that's yeah. Oh, well, it was unfortunate with their first tribal synergy that I think is supposed to be like a cute thing to get some people into the game, and um, yeah, that's just part of it. So, um,
One said XPE is better than Ari. Maybe.
yeah, I think so. I don't think Ari's very good. I don't know. It's just kind of in the spot. I
Wh-
mean,
What
XPE,
was X? How did XPE do in these events?
I think there was one guy who got like top 64 on XPE, and then
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, the deck's
Ari
not
is
horrible. It's just very, very fair.
yeah. Where it is, yeah, 47% win rate, still not good. I mean, you can just go off
Yeah.
of win rates if you want to see like Volibear is low. I don't think it's this low. I think because obviously
Yeah.
Anton's been able to perform with it. I think it's just there's some of these decks that like you have to remember, right, that there are only so many players in the event that are on these decks, and good players are going to gravitate towards certain decks. So some of these are going to be skewed, right? Like most of our competitive players are going to be uh, more interested in playing like Aurelia or Yi or LeBlanc or Diana, and we see a win rate that kind of matches that. But on the flip side, with a lot of these decks, they're just straight gambling. Like most of the good players refuse to play Jinx, even though it's had decent performances, just because it's not a good deck and it's just a straight matchup roulette gamble where you're just like, 25%, 25%, 25%, 0%. And these are, five of the most popular decks that you're just, pretty much 0% to win into, right? So most good players want a matchup spread that's a lot more even, as few reds as possible. So that's why you see people kind of gravitating towards this stuff at the top. So yeah, but this is kind of my general vibes. I mean, some stuff could like shift around a little bit. Maybe Draven's like closer to B just because it's, his abysmal Aurora matchup is like, something that's noteworthy or something like that. But I think pretty much everything from B tier and down has something that's like really holding it back. The Ezreal deck that Daniel tortured me with for a while beats like a lot of decks, but it can't beat a Camel, it can't beat a Baron Nashor, all that sort of stuff. So uh, yeah.
Someone asked, what
So
do we think of Rengar right now? Do we think the best deck is just 3 Elder as the only unit Aurora?
I don't think any of the Aurora decks have been on that. Is that what the 11th place guy got?
Best the
Uh,
Rengar? I think he might have just been like a regular ambush Rengar deck.
no, he was Aurora.
Oh, he was Aurora? Okay.
Yeah. Uh,
Too many people playing
Yes.
Rengar.
Yeah.
There he
Yeah.
is.
So he got 11th, but I think he was, yeah, so he's
Yeah, he was
Aurora,
Elder. He had
Jim,
Kadrigan.
yeah, so he has Jim Dragon, Kadrigan, Direwing, Elder
Yeah.
Dragon, this
Oh,
Blazing
Elder
Sword. He has
Scales.
Herald of Scales. Oh my god, he was doing
Oh,
like
wait.
dragon stuff.
Okay, wait, he was doing Aurora and Herald. Yeah,
But yeah,
sure.
so he was, I mean, it is in Volibear's colors, right? So he was just playing a bad
Yeah.
Volibear deck and somehow got 11th. I guess good for
Yeah, I
him.
mean, Thrill of the Hunt on Dragon is very cool. Like that is a good interaction that Volibear doesn't have access to. Like I don't know, I wish I could blink my dragons. That'd
Hmm.
be pretty sweet.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Thrill of the Hunt has probably carried this deck for sure. Just Thrill of the Hunt, my Kadrigan to Thrill of
Yeah,
the Hunt,
to
my Elder
draw
Dragon.
infinite.
They
Yeah,
try to bounce
or
your Elder Dragon, and you just like go, nope, Thrill of the Hunt, nice Starcrossed. Also, only kill 3 more guys. Like,
yep, pretty
yeah,
good. Yeah, I mean, I do think it's ramping far less than Volley, so it's gonna be way less consistent. But I mean, if you're just looking for like a best of, that's probably the best. If you're looking for a body character best of, it's more than likely that like playing some variant of Aurora in that deck will work out well for you.
yeah. So again, this is I think like the top decks up here, basically from like maybe Ezreal up or Kha'Zix up, I think are pretty solid. I think Set's in a pretty solid place, but just based on my performance. But again, it's one of those things where if you were to take my lists and put them in the average player's hands, I don't think they would quite convert to the level that they have for me. It's just, we've seen the consistency out of like myself and Alan and Prismat, who are all on our own individual decks that we're specialists in, right? So
Yep. Someone said, "Imagine not having the goat Azir at S tier." I do think Azir is really crazy. That's like he's like creeping on S tier. Like you could
yeah, I
make an
mean,
argument for it.
I didn't like power rank stuff too much in the tiers, but Azir is definitely like top of A to S tier in my mind. I think this
Yeah.
deck is some nonsense. So, not a fan of it. You can just kind of see that it has a pretty even spread across the board, with the exception of Draven being unwinnable, which was kind of the case previously too. So, but
Yeah.
outside of that, is kind of good matchups and everything. So, um, I guess it has a bad matchup into Master Yi as well, which kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
So, not the greatest LeBlanc matchup either. So, yeah, but
Yeah,
appreciate
I
the
mean,
sub,
if you have a
Mitch.
few bad matchups into like some of the top legends, that's not really where you want to be. But obviously, like the deck is really powerful. It's doing even though it barely gained that much support in this set, like really that one extra gear was actually enough to really make the deck a lot more consistent.
Yeah. Why is Iron so bad? It just doesn't do anything. Like the +1 might only works on defense, and with the way Riftbound works as a game, holding you need something very crazy to be able to hold, and +1 might on a unit or two is not enough for you to be able to hold the battlefield just because everything is so built to break in, and then it only works on defense because as soon as they conquer, they get rid of your bush. So plus you have to initially be able to break in. It's just everything's terrible with Ivern. It's not designed very
Yeah, the
very well.
units in that have the keywords too are just like very fair. They're just like there's not really a lot of like unfair units that you can play that have cat or poro or things like
Right, exactly. So you just don't get like the closest thing they had was the cat,
that.
the three. I think it's like a 4 for 3 that spawns you a one might bird, but that's still
Yeah.
pretty far
Yeah, it's
off
like
what we need to
6
be
might in
there.
the brush, which is like okay for 4
Yeah,
above rate, but yeah. Yeah, it's just a very fair deck. I think like if you want to actually play this deck and try to be somewhat competitive, you just like have to not actually play all of the tribal synergies. You just literally try to play the absolute like max copies of the best ofs in those tribals and then just like try to make all you're going to end up with though is just a very fair like green white deck. It's not going to
yeah.
like crush your local skirmish or anything most likely.
All right. I see a lot of questions, but I can go through a little bit and just give some general reasons. I mean, we saw based on our win rate matrix that Sivir was the highest win rate over everything at 60%, so clearly she deserves the slot here. Just such a good
Yeah.
matchup into a lot of the field. You're never into a losing matchup with the exception of Victor, right? Which this is
What's
pretty
new?
accurate from our testing, right? That like, yeah, anything else you have at least a pretty good matchup into. I guess she had a kind of bad matchup into LeBlanc and Aurelia, but not by like such a substantial amount, right? So like, yeah, it's just a broken deck. Aurora shouldn't exist. Ban Aurora, etc. E mid range is just like the best of the fair decks, I think. The +2 might has become a lot, and yeah, the fact that now that they have this Rengar card, this card's some nonsense. Like, what is this, man? Dead Bloom. Anton still talks to me about all the Dead Blooms and how excited he is to just play a Dead Bloom, and that guy is an 8 for 8 might, and this guy's a 5 for 8 might. Like they just shaved 3 energy off of what was the best card in set one. Like,
Yep.
yeah, no wonder. Um, yeah. Obviously, Aurelia ended up winning last event, so not much to say about that. They didn't ban Celicorn Herder, and then she's one of the top decks. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah. Rengar really also just fixed Yi's like it's still not completely fixed. Like this deck still wants the dice, but like you're going second is so much better because of Rengar. Like you
Yeah,
can actually just you can see whenever your opponent sends their 2 drop to whatever side, right? You send your 2 or 3 to the open side, and then you Rengar their 2 drop, and now you're at 2. So now you're at point tempo. Both your guys are holding for +2, and your opponent's just kind of screwed. So like
yeah,
it really made the going second like they just didn't have anything good to do going second. Now you just have this very overstated accelerate unit that just curves perfectly, sets you up at 2, and it's just really hard for like anybody to deal with in those early turns.
right. So yeah, that's kind of been the nonsense. LeBlanc, obviously, my list is insane. If you aren't playing my list, what are you doing? Buy the guide.
Yeah,
That's
deck's
worth it.
broken.
Yeah, Daniel just
Like,
won the. He didn't drop a match at the CCS, right? He went 7-0 and
yeah,
winning the event. So yeah, that deck does have its problem matchups. So that's the only reason why I don't think it's the best deck. Is speaking of her problem matchup is Diana. I think that deck is also some nonsense. Like anytime I get a chance, I'm just like, the only thing I need them to start doing is on these cards that are nonsense, that with all this move shenanigans, just be like the first time it moves or the second time it moves or something like that. It's just Ride the Wind breaks all these cards. So Ride the Wind Hui is again not something that should exist in my mind. It's such nonsense. But playing into decks that don't care about your Hui popping off, then yeah, you're gonna struggle. And I think Aurora was like a really bad matchup for Diana, right? Yeah, bad Aurelia matchup, and then was like a bad Sivir matchup, I think were the main things that I noted for Diana, but it was obviously very, very good matchup spread against everything else. think that deck is nonsense. Chosen champion, way too good,
Why do
so
you
on and so
think
forth.
LeBlanc's win rate was like just slightly above 50, which is still like pretty good, right? But like,
Yeah,
do you feel like this deck should have a higher win rate?
this bad Aurelia matchup is definitely something of note. Notably, our list has a pretty good Aurelia matchup, but the vast majority of LeBlancs do not have a very good Aurelia
Sure.
matchup, and they just get rolled by it. So I think that's a problem. We do have a bad Diana matchup with the hook version, so this is probably accurate, at least in terms of that. But yeah, I think overall it was just one of those things where it was technically the most popular deck, right? So it's gonna skew a lot more towards that. Whereas when you have like, for example, I think Diana's win rate was propped up a little bit because we had Alan and Diwali that were both playing it, which was like a pretty
Sure.
sizable percentage of the Dianas at that point, right? So this was a little bit propped up based on two of the better players in the game playing it. Um, how to pilot LeBlanc hook against Aurelia and Diana? I think Daniel's working on a guide update for that, so hopefully that should be out soon. So
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I just played some matches against Daniel on Diana for the VOD, so I know
yeah,
that's coming soon.
yeah, this will be up soon. So, but yeah, I think that's the only issue, and the fact that I will say that this is specifically our version of LeBlanc that I think is S tier. Traditional aggro LeBlanc is probably closer to bottom of A, maybe top of B, is probably more where she's at, but the version is also very difficult to pilot, so that's part of it. So Azir, I think also a nonsense deck. Just everything that it does is just so infuriating that Azir just does it better than anyone else does, right? Um, all of their all of their turn one plays are 3 might now with the 9 equips. Just giving him that extra consistency piece out of the set was really all this deck needed, and it hasn't really changed much outside that. Vex, I think Vex is the worst of these decks up here at the top for what it's worth, but for whatever reason, it just keeps performing and getting tops. So I have to at least reference that. Let's see if this lighting makes things better, even though it's annoying.
Someone
Um,
asked if we only cared about getting best of right now, what would we go for and what would be the deciding factors? Let's say not set and volley.
if I had to go for a best of other, I mean, I am kind of just going for best ofs at set. Obviously, I've gotten top 8 into ninth place now at Sydney on set, so it's not like I can't top with the deck or whatever. But I do think it is kind of like a best of deck to a degree. So um, I don't know if I were to
If
go
you
for
if
anything
you
other than
had to
that.
pick another one, yeah. If you had to just strictly, you're only going for best ofs.
Um, I
What are you going
I
for?
mean, I'd probably go for one of the higher value ones, like maybe like Jinx or RA, and just go for the gamble. Is at least probably my take, or it's just whatever. I think I have a cool list that's a little bit unique, right? When for me, my set list is unique, and no one else is playing my set list. No one else has been able to perform with it, with the exception of, I guess, at Atlanta we had our one Discord sub who was actually like, I think the first person to 10-2-1 using my exact list. So he was the second best set in Atlanta. But yeah, um, yeah, I think overall it's just I like being unique, I guess. So if I like gun to my head, I had to pick something, I would probably just go for Ari or Jinx and at least go for like the highest value potential medal. But
Yeah, for sure. I play best ofs that also like have a chance at still doing a deep run. Obviously, like I'm aware that my decks may still, they're gonna not have as high a win rate necessarily as like some of the best decks in the format. But if I was to just pick purely like not trying to place well and just trying to score the best of, it would have to be like going for Ari or probably going. I also really like playing Kaisa, and I think she's like pretty low representation now, so I'm
oh
probably
yeah,
think about doing Kaisa too.
Kaisa's actually a pretty solid one. Maybe Kaisa's who I'd actually go for. That was one I was complaining about the whole time because there were like more sets keeping up with me than Kaisa's, which is a medal that's worth like twice as much as set is. So yeah,
Yeah.
Kaisa's actually probably the answer because I feel like I could maybe get that one if I really want to go for it. So um yeah. So finishing up Vex, I don't really understand Vex. I think this deck's bad, but for whatever reason it seems to work. So That's all I can really say. It at least has a 50% win rate and everything. Because if you win the die roll, you're nice. You lose the die roll, you're not nice. So Annie, I think, is got like some pretty big upgrades. You can see Prismat's list here. Um, yeah, he didn't really change too much on the like. I guess he put in Grim Apothecaries, Starcrossed Abandons, and I guess Vex Apathetics. It's only on one gust is crazy. I think that's a bit of a punt, but um, oh, and Infernus and stuff. So yeah, that's just the same list. Very aggressive. I think Starcross plus Annie is strong. The issue this deck really runs into is just kind of the same with any aggressive deck. If you fall behind at any point in time, you just like draw the wrong half of your deck and you don't have something to play on curve, you just lose immediately, right? You can lose on turn one or turn two. You ever miss a turn one play, that game's over. You lost. Um, so general consistency stuff. Outside of that, I think it had not a great Aurelia matchup, right? I got absolutely demolished by Aurelia, and has a pretty mediocre Yi Proving Ground matchup. So when you have like two of the best decks being bad matchups, it's going to be a
True.
problem, right? So it also it does okay in December. That makes sense.
Does look, yeah, that Silver and MF. It looks like they were cooking them. So
Yeah, at least enough. So yeah, you're aggressive enough that you can beat pretty much anything with the best hands out of the Aurora decks. So granted, you don't have much in terms of interaction. So Draven
yeah, plus you
was
always have like flash up against Elder.
right. Draven just consistently had a very strong win rate across the board and has a very good matchup and everything that's not named Aurora, or I guess Ari apparently, but like, you know. I'm surprised that it actually what was its Vex matchup? Yeah, its Vex matchup isn't unreasonable, so I think Draven just has proven itself into so long as you don't parent Aurora, like you're good, right? And then obviously MF is just a worse sever, so that's my explanation for at least the top 10 decks and why I think things are where they're at. Obviously, there are some weird outliers like this Teemo that topped or whatever, but um, yeah, you just have to take some of these things with a grain of salt. Um,
Yeah, someone asked
um,
why so low with Teemo.
yeah, I just don't think this deck is very good or very consistent. I know he played into Diwali and beat him, and the guy just like hit double Nocturne at the exact right moment. He played into the other set that was competing with me for best of up until the end, and he said the exact same thing. The guy just hit double Nocturne off of his Teemo flip, his Teemo strategist flip, and at like the right perfect time, and he wasn't expecting it. So yeah, that was
Sure.
the specifics on it. I don't particularly think Teemo is that strong, but it's also like again, it's a whole deck that requires you to get to the battlefield first in order for you to start doing all your shenanigans, um, which
Yeah, it is pretty
isn't.
aggressive too, with like all the sprite spawners and he's playing sneakies.
Yeah, Sprite Call, Sprite Fountain, Sneakies, and stuff. I don't think this deck's bad. Maybe given that performance, Teemo can come up here.
Move
He
into the
can
bees.
he can make it hang out in the bees. But yeah, so
Yeah, I do
um,
think generally, like you, if you're gonna play this color pair, you're probably better off playing Diana.
yeah. I think for a lot of
There were two
these.
Dianas in top eight, only one Teemo.
Right. I think a lot of this is like there's some stuff that is, it's like Azir maybe could be S tier. You could maybe make an argument for like Diana or LeBlanc being A tier. A lot of this stuff towards like these two tier decks are pretty close, but this is just kind of a general thing. We're not making a whole video on this because I don't think it's been enough of an update since our initial predictions, which honestly our initial predictions were pretty spot
Pretty
on.
on point. Yeah, pretty on point.
I don't think there was like a single legend that moved more than one tier over our initial um, kind of uh, tier list that we put out, right? So I think
Yeah,
it's
despite all the haters who want to be like, you guys are never right.
yeah,
Actually,
we're right
we
every
usually
time.
are.
What's your opinion on Pike? We're working on Pike guide and Pike video that will be out soon, TM, hopefully within the next week or two. So for those who are interested in Pike, we'll have a video coming out on that soon. I put it down here again. This is maybe like closer to B tier. I didn't focus too hard on like the C to B tier. These are all decks that are like theoretically playable, and it's all at the end of the day. The thing about all of these things is that every deck has a bad matchup, right? So whatever you play, there's some bad matchup that you're gonna sit across the table from, and you're just gonna groan and be like, oh, I can't. This is gonna be terrible. And odds are you're probably right. These decks at the top have a little bit fewer of those bad matchups as opposed to those in B and C tier. It's still going to be possible for a Darius to win the entire event. Orin can still win the entire event. Pike can still win the entire event. Rengar can still win the entire event. If you get the right matchups and you play against the right people, any of these decks is possible. Some of these cards like Jinx and Rumble and Renata, these are never going to win the event just because there are too many of those bad
Yeah.
matchups that exist, right? But yeah, that's the general thing with all of these. So at the end of the day, you're running matchup roulette one way or another. That's just how card games work. So
Yeah,
um,
especially with the best of system, like the roulette is so wide. Like it is literally just a jungle of decks. Like you could play against anything. I was playing against complete nonsense, even in the X1 bracket, like playing two jinxes. Like what's going on?
yeah, Piers LeBlanc has bad matchups into the top decks. I think most LeBlanc lists have bad matchups in the top decks. Ours does not, as you can tell based on Daniel just winning the most recent event. So I think that's the big differential in our opinion, at least. So yeah, there's a bunch of these decks that still have never had a top. I think Garen's only had one day two still.
Yeah.
Leona's never had a top
Has Leona ever
64.
made a day two?
Yeah, I think the
Maybe this one
Leona.
made a day two this time
Yeah,
around.
I want to say this one made it. Yeah, 140th. So
Okay.
they made day two. Um, so yeah, it does occasionally happen. So
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
there's been a
even in
couple of
day
those.
two, like I was playing against Poppy and Vi and like just
Yeah,
again nonsense, right?
there was a rumble that was cooking in Atlanta. I remember that went like either 9-4 or 10-3 or something like that. It might have
Yep.
even top 64 on rumble. That was crazy. So um, or at the very least very close. So but yeah, Renata no good. Jin no good. I don't expect Jin or Ivern to be day twoing anytime soon. So yeah, Leona has 5 day twos. Okay, that's not too bad. Oh, I see. So Rumble never topped top 64. Renata, Lux, Leona, Garen. So and then I'm
They
assuming
said so. Where
Jin
would
and
you
Vi
put
as well.
non-Daniel LeBlanc in the tier list?
I don't know. Probably like bottom of A, maybe top of B.
Yeah.
Uh, I just want my credit. Okay, I made the list. I gave
Yes.
it to
Owen
him.
did do the
I did
list.
all the hard work. I fine tuned it for him, and I was just like, "Here you go, bud. Pat him on the head.
Yeah.
Go have fun, champ." And then he was like,
Yeah.
"Okay," and obviously he did me proud. So that's
Yeah.
uh that's what it comes down to. But
I
you
did
know
the
what?
same thing in Houston for him, bud, so I understand the feeling.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and they're like, "God, you know that Daniel guy, the Aurora player? How do you come up with such an
Yeah.
innovative deck?" And it's like you're just over there, just like clutching your fists and be like, "Yep, it's his moment,
Yeah.
though. You know what? We just gotta let
Yeah.
him have it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Still our
fine."
boy. That's our man's.
Yeah, exactly. I knew at the point where I was like, I could play this list and do the same thing, but why
Yeah.
compete for the best of? We got all three best ofs that we are going for in Sydney.
We did play it in the pre-regional, right? Or did you place that?
Yeah, I did play in the pre-regional. And that was the only time that I've ever lost a match in the pre-regional because I played in the probably the worst matchup. But
Sure. Yeah, you X1 then, right?
yeah, I X1.
Yeah.
I still got my
Yeah.
medal RA, so it's
Yep.
whatever. Who cares? Um, yeah. See someone mentioning, do you think the top LeBlanc from China RQ list isn't good compared? Well, I can go
I'll
on
get
to our
some
next
China
topic
lists here.
here because I have not had a chance to look through. There was an RQ that happened this last weekend, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're doing them every weekend this like the last 2 weeks
This,
and then 2 more weeks.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. The regional open. So there's this one, and then let's find Sam. see what the week before this one. Oh yeah, Randy told me that they increased to 640 like arbitrarily for some reason. I don't really
Oh,
know why they went
that's an
from.
interesting number. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He was just like, yeah, for some reason they just increased by 20%. So I was like, okay, well, but
Hmm.
from a Swiss bracket calculator, that makes everything much, much worse. So,
Yeah.
yeah, good on them for
But well,
that.
you see, 64 is 10% of 640. They top
Yeah,
64. So I don't know.
yeah, um, yeah. So for reasons. So I guess this is the most recent one. I looked at this one once upon a time, that the mid-range one, because this is the same weekend as our event, and it had like two random Ezreals. I think I don't remember if these were tempo. Oh, these the nonsense control deck. Okay, these are basically the nonsense control decks. Yeah, pack troving. This deck is really good. Oh, and this was like a more mid-rangey list. Okay, interesting. I guess this is a bit more tempo-y. I think this pack trove deck is very good, but it can't ever beat Camel or Baron, which isn't like the worst spot to be. Those aren't nearly as common as a lot of stuff. So I think this deck's
Yeah.
solid, but it can also just like, but yeah, obviously this guy probably got a bad matchup and folded. So I'd say that I saw most of these decks. The Yi mid range list, this is similar to ours, although I think we had Triforce and Camels. We basically had Camels over our Tasties. For some reason, they really like Tasty Faithful cover in China. I really don't understand it. I mean, I don't think this card's bad by any means, but
No.
I don't.
I
I
think
don't know.
I think if you're trying to max file maw, it makes sense to
Yeah,
have it. Like just because it's hard to get that deep in your runes without tasty.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's interesting list.
yeah. So
I
I
like
don't.
Valma. That card's crazy.
Yeah, I think Vialma is very good. As opposed to, I haven't really tested this enough. I know that like 90% of this list is fine and makes sense to me. I don't know if you need the extra GAs, but maybe the point here is just to like suit up your Valmon, make sure it's good, suit up your Rengar. I like the three Zonyas. Like the only lists I question out or cards out of here I question are like the extra two GAs and then the three Tasties. I think these could potentially be camels, and GAs could be something else. We don't have any ooze in this list, right? That card was
No.
decent for us. And then like you could go with Triforce. But general game plan of this deck is where you want to be. Oh, this deck was only on 6/2s as well. I'd probably put some Clockwork
This
Keepers in
dude's
here.
kind of crazy.
Yeah. So sub the GAs out, get some Clockwork Keepers in here. Uh, that's at least where our tasting is. But again, our tasting's been limited with Yi. None of us want to play mid range Yi. We already have what, two or three best of Yis. So we're done with that toy. We put it down at this point. Um, yeah. So I think that was most of this. I looked through this once upon a time, and there wasn't anything super interesting. A bunch of Aurora decks in top. I think, but third and fourth
Yeah,
place here were Aurora decks, which makes sense.
an eighth.
Yeah. Yeah. So what would I look at for battlefields? I don't know. People just put whatever battlefields they want for you. Star Spring is
Yeah,
very
they're seeing
good.
start to peak a lot more. For sure.
Yeah. Star Spring's good. I think Grow's fine for the going first if you want to, but this guy probably didn't play it because he's only on 6/2s, so you can't really afford it out of this version. If you're on 9/2s, you just play Grove instead of Star Sipped. Star Spring is really good when you just like run your 2-drop in and then immediately swap it out for the tempered and are holding for a 6. I think it's solid, so um yeah. But this was the same weekend as our event, so I think I already looked this one. This is the one that I actually haven't looked at, which I guess had Azir. This makes sense why people are like no Azir in S tier. Obviously, it's the deck that won the most recent event, so sure,
Right.
people are gonna like this deck.
And it won the last set 2 RQ, right? So like it has been putting up some wins
Yeah,
the last few months.
yeah. I mean, again, I think Azir is like very very close to the rest of these decks, and it's possible we just haven't had enough competitive players playing Azir. The one Azir player I played against played perfectly, but I think it's just overall this list has a consistency issue. only 15 gears. Like if you just whiff on a gear, you just lose the game and you can't play it at all. So yeah. Um, do you have an opinion on Prism Sanity? Yeah, Prism's list is good, very good. Um, but yeah, literally the only unit we have in our deck is Vi. I think this Vi unit is also crazy, but it's not like Azir was really ever struggling to break into battlefields. That wasn't ever Azir's issue, and like still to this point, Azir doesn't really have any extreme issues. It's just like consistency. You'll note that no cards in this deck say draw a card outside of like R2 sacrifice and one Shadow's Call. I guess salvages technically. This goes on two
Yeah, I
main
do
deck
think like
salvage, which is crazy.
into like the like specifically mid range E, which is one of his bad matchups, like Vi is probably really good.
Yeah, China doesn't like unfair decks. I mean, we saw Aurora do well at the Suzo Open with at least two of them making top four. I don't know what their overall meta representation of it was, so it's hard to have um, exact numbers. And Aurelia is definitely an unfair deck, but we'll get to her in a second.
Oh yeah, for
So
sure.
I think that overall this deck, oh, he's on Arena's greatest for the going first. That's interesting. I mean, it kind of makes sense. This deck is somewhat aggressive, and just going first with Arena's greatest is like kind of broken, to be honest. So
Yep.
I think the only other one people are playing is an Orange Forge, but that's a lot less consistent because the only thing, like, yes, when you have the going first Orange Forge and you open the BF sword, like you feel like a god. The game's just over, but that only happens 44% of the time or whatever it is, maybe 50%. So whereas Arena's greatest is probably a lot more consistent. So
Yeah.
this guy even cut Desert's Call. This list is so greedy. I mean, I guess it worked for him, so good on him.
I think we've been
Um,
seeing less Desert's Call lately.
yeah,
Two
just
salvage main. I think someone asked earlier in the chat too, like, what do we think of main board gear hate? I think it's probably more prevalent now than ever. So like, I think it makes more sense now than it used to.
I mean, looking through the field, there's nothing that's completely dead against. It's always live against Yi because you can hit their GA or Zanya's, assuming that. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably gonna get defied, but you also have your own defies, so there's part of that. Obviously, into Aurora,
Yeah.
it's great. Into
Into
Aurelia,
Aurelia, it's solid. Like
that's
kills their
solid.
GAs.
Yeah, it at least forces like you got to run them out of defies and stuff eventually. Anyways,
Or
right?
like
So
killing their boots can like hinder their mobility.
yeah, and in most LeBlanc lists it's dead, but into ours, obviously
Yeah.
hitting a hook is
Oh,
nice.
it's really nice.
It's dead into Diana, good into
Yeah, I mean,
Azir.
unless you really Diana has been playing the when you draw a card one, right? So like
Yeah.
you don't really want to dedicate a card to popping that, but like yeah,
And if you draw a
at least
card
at least
while
it
you're
has a
doing it,
target. Like yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah. So I think it's got like enough application that it's probably fine. You do just get some extra percents here, and the fact that it just cycles through your deck is like fine. I think two is a bit aggressive, but I would assume for pretty much every Azir deck to play at least one salvage just for that reason. So I think
The
it's
best
fine.
of Azir and Sydney definitely got me with the main board salvage in game one.
Yeah, makes sense. I think it's solid. Um, yeah. So and yeah, it'll always do something. So. The only thing that again, I'm not really an Azir guy. I think No Desert's Call is greedy just because it's like, yeah, having the one equip is pretty likely, but the issue is when you only have like one or two equips, then eventually your deck just like peters out. And at least Desert's Call gives you like an extra turn where you're still doing something, you're still putting some bodies into play. But maybe this guy was just all on where like, yeah, if I don't have my equips anyways, then I lose. So why even bother with a card like Desert's Call? So.
Yeah, he was playing a lot of the draw stuff too.
Yeah, I mean,
Shadow's Call, two sacrifice,
two sacrifice, three hidden
three
blade,
blades.
one Shadow's Call is all those things are fine as ways to draw into your equips and find it that way. You still have Vi, I guess, is a potential thing to do. Um, yeah, Frigid Jewel is bad. I mean, overall the card's bad, but it's like you needed some sort of gear to discard typically. I guess we can move on to the Diana list. Azir is a good deck. I hate when people play it just because it's like a fair deck that feels difficult to complain about until it casts a Rise. Rise is a nonsense card. Card should not exist, especially in a color that has access to Defy, so you can like Arise with Defy backup is crazy, but yeah. So let's see. I'm curious how different this list is from Alan's. This guy's on Vex.
Yeah,
No
no
Kha'Zix.
Kha'Zix.
I think Alan's on. Let's see where. 1-2 abandon. Okay, that's nice. I'm assuming this
One,
is one.
two. What is that?
I'm assuming it's one
What does that
abandon,
mean?
but sure. 1-2
Yeah.
abandon. So he was on Tide Turner, 1 Poro. Interesting. He did end up swapping the Tide Turners at some point. Okay. It kind of makes sense, just having extra moves for your Hui and stuff. It lets you just move your Hui in and then immediately return it back home. So,
Yeah.
this guy was on Traveling Merchant over the Poro, which I kind of like. I don't know. Filter through. Your deck is, you literally
More
doesn't do
filter.
anything without Hui, so.
Right.
This guy had 2 acceptable losses
In the main.
in the main deck,
Holy.
and he got second. What do you think of that one, Anton?
I think I think this card's really bad into Sivir. So like, yeah.
Yeah.
They're just making gold, so like your acceptable loss is just gonna kill gold.
I mean, maybe they don't
And
play around it. I mean,
yeah,
that's
some maybe they're just spending their gold because they don't expect that you're gonna have the acceptable in the main. You do have Fizz to like loop it, so theoretically you could like chew through a bunch of stuff. But even then, like Sivir's got Pack on the board, it's got Troves on the board, like
yeah.
got
It's just
it's got
crazy,
a
right?
bunch. Like yeah, it's I think this card's not great.
Yeah, it's the Aurelia attack. I mean, the only thing I will say about
Sure.
it, like, it's kind of acceptable in
But
this
into
deck,
Azir
haha,
too. Uh-huh.
because you're going to be discarding spells to Hui anyways. So, like, that's your entire game plan is built around the idea of discarding spells. So I think it's fine, just because there are times it's going to be good for you, and the times it's not, your deck doesn't function without Hui. You are literally not a deck without Hui existing. So, um, yeah, fortunately, for whenever that card. Oh, and one turn to dust as
And
well.
Turn to Dust.
I didn't even see this
Beats
guy
me.
hanging out down here. Yeah,
This
that's
guy's never
crazy.
losing to a gear deck.
Except he lost to Gear Deck in the finals.
Since he
So
lost to a
yeah,
gear deck, even with 3 main board gear hate cards. That's wild.
crazy. Yeah, a very hateful deck. I don't know. I'm surprised on the. I guess because he's on Vex is why he's on the smoke screen instead of. I guess he's on a split of one smoke screen, one eclipse. That's fine. I don't mind like the one of slop into. I think the one of slop works very very well in Diana just because you see so much of your deck, and worst case you just discard your slop cards to Hui. But yeah, this looks fine. If you don't want to play Alan's list, I think there's nothing wrong with this list. I think it might be a little bit different over in China though compared to ours. I would have to see play rates. I wonder if Manch is still here and knows where the China play rates are. Anyway, just because I'm curious how they lined up with Sydney. Because like
Sure.
in Sydney, obviously we saw 7% is the highest play rate deck, just because the best ofs are worth so much. But over in China, they are worth a lot less.
Right.
So they aren't as invested into the best of farming as far as I know. And they have, I don't know if they ended up getting cool top 8 or top 4 prize cards again like they did last time, but I would assume they did.
Sure.
Yeah. You don't have the play rates for this stuff? Okay. Unfortunate. But yeah, I'm just curious how the play rates end up lining up. Just because, like, I wouldn't want to tell somebody to run the 2 acceptable losses, 1 turn to dust into our meta, where it's just like, yeah, even Aurora is the most popular thing is like 10 to 15% play rate or something like that. You're going to play, what, 2 of them on average over the course of your tournament run? Maybe if they make that big of a difference and these cards don't weigh you down in other matchups, it's fine. But, yeah. People shouting out Downwell. I think Downwell's fine, but I mean, it's always possible for it to just get countered into a lot of matchups. And I don't think this deck, like, the only way that you're making Downwell work is if you go Downwell into, like, double guys so that you're able to score both sides. I guess it doesn't really work as anti-Aurora attack because they're just going to either sabotage it or Mind Splitter it out of your hand. And you don't have a way to recur it. It's not fizzable. So that's the issue with a lot of sideboard tech. You want cards like Turn to Dust and Acceptable Losses because if they Mind Splitter it out of your hand, you have redundancy with the fizzes, right? That's why we have 2 more Turn to Dust in the sideboard. So, yeah, that's the main reason why I know down well. A little bit too all in. So,
I do hate that card though.
yeah. Aurelia is the most played at 10%. Detailed stats, maybe? Oh, cool.
There we go.
Okay, yeah. So, conversion. So, yeah, they did have a much higher play rate on their perceived best deck at almost 11% compared to our 7%, right? And again, I think this
Yeah.
is, it could be an overall perception of as to them thinking Aurelia is better over there than it is for us, which I do think Aurelia is a broken deck, obviously. But yeah, obviously we don't quite have the 11% play rate just because people want best ofs. Best of is 99% of the pricing. I guess like the regional invite is the other 1%, but you know, that's part of it. So E up at 9%, Diana at 6%. So these don't look like significantly higher jumps, but I do think overall they kind of are. So just because it's a smaller tournament as well, so this is also a much, I would say, less competitive field almost, just because all of their stuff is done through lotto draws, right, as to who gets in. So this is more overall sort of representation, whereas I think the players that we saw were the people that had to, you know, get the tickets within 5 minutes of them going live. So yeah, so that's very interesting though. This Twitter account has the pie charts and stuff. Let's see. Hopefully this doesn't break Hamptons. Oh, link don't work. That's all right. We got the majority of the info here. Their most played deck at Aurelia being, 11% makes sense to me. So
Yeah. E was 8%.
yeah. So I do think those are like probably the 2 best decks. I think Azir should have had a higher play rate, but that's yeah. For me, whenever anyone asks, it's Sivir, Aurora, Aurelia, and Yi are the 3 best decks. So, and then like Diana, LeBlanc, Azir pretty close behind. So then we have 2. Rico ended up getting 3rd here. Freebuke is on a rampage. He's on a tear. Still with the 1 of Adaptatron in the main.
Yeah. Yeah, it gets back home from Sydney and just runs it back to another top 8.
Yeah. That must be nice.
That's pretty much the same list. I don't know
Yeah, I
if it
don't.
changed much. It looks like
Yeah,
pretty
I'm
similar.
curious.
I know he was on triple boots in Sydney.
Wait, why does it have Ghoster Driver being the best of Aurelia?
Yeah, that doesn't really make sense, right?
I don't know why they put him here when Rico won.
Yeah, no idea. Wait, was he in top 8?
Yeah, he was in top 8, but
Okay, I think that's
oh,
why they have the
I,
top 8s there too.
I
Yeah.
see. All of top 8's in there. Okay.
Yep.
Oh, right, because Alan was in here and he wasn't the
Alan
best of
was the best
Diana.
of, yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah,
I forgot about that. Sorry, bud.
Rip. Oh,
I
still burns.
did not mean to run salt that wind. I still feel bad for him. He just got Aurora. I talked to Sold Out afterwards, and he was like, "Yeah, dude, I playing through the entire tournament. I was high rolling, and into Allen, I've high rolled higher than I did in any other rounds. He felt so bad, and I
Yeah, I
was like,
remember
yeah,
Alan after the game. I was just like, "What happened, man?" He's like, "I've never seen more like the best flips of all Aurora decks." He's like, "When I need him to hit the Elder, he hits the Splitter. When I need him to hit Splitter, he hits the Elder." Yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So, I don't think much has changed here. Still the 1 of Adaptatron. He had a 1 Fizz in our event that he cut. He went up to 2
Didn't
Gusts,
like the
so
Fizz. Sure.
cut the Fizz for a 2nd Gust. Outside of that, he's still on like 2 stack deck, the perfect number of like one of the best cards ever printed in the game. 2, just put 2 of them in there, but I can't argue with results. It's also not super important for Aurelia, in my opinion. It's just like a consistency upper, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
you know, gives you a little bit of a pump on the abandoned hall game too. Can act
Ha-
as a
Have
little
we
pump.
reviewed mid-rangey? Yeah, we've reviewed it a little bit. If you end up going back in the VOD, we've talked
Yeah,
about
we talked a
mid-range
bit about
U,
it.
so it will be available on the VOD for both YouTube and Twitch. So how do y'all
Turns out
figure
this
out?
Aurelia deck's still kind of crazy. Well, the two cards. It's funny because the two cards that we said on our ban list that should also have been banned were Stellacorn Herder and Dazzling Aurora. And what are the top decks right now?
Yeah. Oh man, imagine that. The only thing I will admit we got kind of wrong was Bryn here being something that's worth banning, which is
Sure.
yeah, it never ended up being the case just because, but that's also because Defy is like the most relevant card in the matchup, and we even admitted whereas like the only answer to this is Defy, so its relative place in the meta will be relative to how many Defies are, and lo and behold, every green deck has 3 Defies in their deck because it's the best card in the format. So yeah, that's what I think is primarily coming back. That, and at the time we thought there were 2 battlefields that always triggered at the start, but there's only one, so that prevents the whole Bryn here lock thing from becoming a problem. So um, yeah, that's overall. I think all this stuff makes sense. This looks pretty similar to his list. It still has the one Fizz, the one Adaptatron, the one Gust. So I'm pretty. This other guy who got top 4 was basically just on
Oh,
Rico's
sure,
list,
sure, sure.
and looks like I think Rico had him on breakers. So them's the breaks for SW here. Unfortunate. Outside of that, Aurelia decks are Aurelia decks. We originally had a list we were testing with Baron and Find Your Sinners that looked okay, but just a little bit too inconsistent as opposed to just like doing the broken thing that Aurelia is already known to do, right? So why not
Yeah.
just do the broken thing? Then yeah,
And we did get
Vex.
another Rex in the top 8. So I mean, again, this deck is really simple and it can be countered, but like it's
Okay,
still
come.
making multiple top 8s.
What
So
is this? One
one
cat?
mouse is pretty crazy.
That's insane to me. One
I do
crab.
like seeing Overzealous Fan because I have seen a lot of Vexless not playing Fan, and I'm like, wow, this card is a crazy defensive
Yeah,
tool. So I'm not really
this
sure why we're
is.
not playing
Does this
any.
guy have a 3 of in his deck? The one three of his gear and
It's Edge of
units is
Night.
Edge of Night. You're telling me Edge of Night is so good that it deserves a 3 of, but Mutated Mouser is not. Evelyn's not. Like Sona is not. They're obsessed with two Sona over here. I don't get
Playing the
it.
Sona Kha'Zix.
Yeah, we have
They were doing
3.
one Draven Audacious. I remember I was testing that a bit.
I think it's fine. It's just a way to like if you're gonna be 2 ships passing in the night, Draven plus Evelyn is like one of your best ways to do it. I think the one of is fine. Right.
Yeah.
So I think it's like that, or you could like try Baron, but um yeah, so on and so forth. One last rights. And that's just it's just sloppy. It's all slop. All the Vex lists are slop, but
A lot of
I
one
don't think it
of, yeah.
matters. At the end of the day, they're all going to do the same thing. They're going to play a 2 drop into a Vex on the battlefield and win the game on turn 2, plus a hidden, right?
Yeah.
And that's
Farming
just what this
Rake in
deck
the
does.
main.
Yeah, everyone is hating on Aurora out here. Everyone has some sort of main deck answer. Maybe it comes from like the idea of best of one format or something, where they're used to having to have some amount of gear hate, so they don't just lose in the best of one. But yeah, the amount of main deck gear hate they have over here is crazy compared to what we're used to.
Yeah, he's also not can't be hit by sabotage.
Would banning Stella hurt Aurelia? Oh yeah, for sure. Aurelia's. I mean, I think Aurelia would still be a fine deck, and like
Yeah,
this
but it
is
would not be nearly as crazy.
at the end of the day, like the targeted bans that you're looking for. I'm never like so spiteful about a deck that's been performing well and just being like your deck is so oppressive that it just needs to be eradicated off the face of the earth, with the exception of Draven, Miracle Draven, and that was only because of how difficult it made running through tournaments to be, right? So the goal is like very similar to patches in League of Legends or Teamfight Tactics, there are other games, or any fighting game ever. You don't want to like completely eradicate a deck off the face of the earth. You still want it to be comparable so that people who invested all their money into these decks, they aren't like the most expensive things in the world with how Riftbound works, just because all the money's in like the alt arts and stuff. but still, you don't want people to be testing and spending all this time on playing Aurelia. They've been playing it for hundreds of hours, hundreds of games, and you're just like, actually, we're banning Defiant Dance, Defy, Stellacorn Herder, et cetera, until this deck is like no longer a thing, right? It's you want it to still be playable to some degree, so I think that's the most important thing. And I think you could make an Aurelia deck work without Stellacorn Herder. I've seen plenty of decks that do so. It's just, yeah, the deck functions very differently, and you would have to build it completely differently. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, so I do think a lot of this is sloppy again. The way the China events work is very different, where it's all lottery based system, which is why you'll see whoever the good players are who do end up making it into the events, not performing
10th place
super well.
Kazakhs.
Yeah, let's go to. So I can keep going through. So LeBlanc, one Sprite Fountain. So this guy is not on Hook. One main deck Ash. Um, on 7/2s plus the two dignitaries. This is fine. This is something I was thinking about maybe doing in our deck too, just to have additional consistency on turn one. But I just liked the ramp because we're on 6/2s plus the three dignitaries just because the ramp is pretty good. But Honest Broker is like basically a ramp spell, sort of. It just doesn't accelerate you into like the weird turn three Watcher slash Rift Herald nonsense that you can do with like Karthus plus Bird. But Bird's the only way to do that anyways, so I think that's maybe fine. Um, Outside of that, it looks pretty standard. One Bellows Breath is weird. I'm guessing this is like their anti-Aurora tech, is to mirror image their thing and then just have the one Bellows Breath, and it still works with the three
Yeah.
Watchers that they're playing.
Combined
So
with Watching.
yeah, I think it's fine. If I were to play an aggressive deck, this is one I'd consider. The three Coals is the one thing that's just like I think the line that they run is they just like turn one going first, they like play their guy, they conquer, and then they immediately Coal plus like play another two. But if you're building your strategy around that, in my opinion, you have to play more than 7 2 drops, like because Cole just doesn't end up doing anything late in the game once you've actually gotten rid of um, the majority of, or they've played multiple units, and you're not a deck that's particularly good at breaking off. They're killing off their two drops, right? So if they're just going to play around Cole anyways, it's so hard for this card to get value. So that's why I personally don't like Cole, but obviously it's something that's had at least decent success over there. So
What are your thoughts on these battlefields?
I think Star Spring is my personal favorite, but it's difficult. It's possible that it would have ended up on these battlefields if I was playing the aggressive LeBlanc version. Just I'm assuming they're Duskuros labbing for their neutral and then Forbidding Waste going second, but I don't know.
Sure.
Forbidding Waste it works kind of well in LeBlanc because you're typically holding with multiple units anyways because of the clone. So I think it's fine, but it's not like a super powerful battlefield by any means, right? So, um, yeah, one Sprite Fountain. I think this card is broken. It is a card that again probably shouldn't have been printed for. It's just a little bit too efficient for what it does. But if you're gonna be playing like an aggressive LeBlanc deck, just having a 2 cost accelerate unit to combine with like a Vi to come out of nowhere and crack a board is pretty good. So it just feels so random. One, yeah, I agree that like one is very random. The spaces
Yeah.
are
At least in
tough.
LeBlanc though, like one of is just becomes LeBlanc fodder, so it's not that crazy.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
could just it's kind of the Zon slop theory, right? I can just
Yeah,
play these one ofs because I'll just pitch them with LeBlanc if they're not good.
yeah. What do we think about Nice Boy versus Allen's list? I'm curious. I didn't really look at Nice Boy's list too much. He has the three Frigid Jewels. Jesus. Mind
Yeah,
Splitter.
he was a frigid jewel enjoyer.
I mean, I think most of the time it's just getting pitched off anyways to Hui, right? So I think at the end of the day, as long as you have three Wither in, three Hui, and some number of Flash, like you're not doing anything wrong in Diana. It's like fine. That's what the entirety of your deck is going to be built around anyways. Is just the idea of abusing Hui as much as possible. I don't know if the jewel is entirely necessary. It's really just there for extra energy
He's
sometimes,
also only on double
but
moonfall. Was Alan
Uh,
on 2 or 3?
Alan was on 3, but
Oh,
he
this
he
guy
has
had
a
one in the
third.
board. I
He had
see.
the
I see.
third one in the board. I'm just assuming he didn't need uh, access to all 3 copies. He's got 2 fizzes as well, whereas Alan didn't. One fading memories. I'm guessing just afraid of Aurora. To at least want like some sort of main deck answer. But yeah, I think both have their merits. I think Alan's. I'm gonna say Alan's list is better, just from like a initial look. But um, yeah, that's just my gut reaction. Was Alan's is a little bit more tested, but he's also somebody who's able to play this game full time, so his list is going to be a little bit more finely tuned, in my opinion. So Um, yeah, it makes I Jewel working with Wei is just like, yes, it makes your guy instead of an 8 now we're a 10, but like how often is that number gonna matter against like
You need to trade with an
Yi?
elder, I guess.
Yeah, you can trade with an elder or something, like sure. Maybe the extra might will end up mattering in some specific matchups, but it's just like one of those cards. I'm putting a card in my deck that I never want to cast. Like that always feels terrible, right? Um, What did you think about Kha'Zix? The legend of the card. I think the card is very good. We've seen Kha'Zix pop up as a card um, in Alan's list, and I don't know why Prismat never ended up playing it, but I think it just he has. At least I don't think he played Kha'Zix at all, right? No.
No.
So yeah, I think it's a good card. Decent deck. I got it as like the top 15 decks or whatever. It's basically like a dividing
Yeah.
line between
I think it's pretty good in either
decent and
variant. Like you could either play it as a purple Aurora deck and then you're automatically gonna be doing broken things, or you could do the actual Kha'Zix thing and that's also like pretty decent.
yeah. So that makes sense to me. Um, let's see. More Aurelias, at least based on the spiciness meter, I'm not expecting them to be anything different. We have a Diana list. Again, doing
Standard
Diana
maxed
three
out the better.
acceptable three
Oh
acceptable
my.
losses. It was just like everyone else is crazy only playing 2 of this card. This card's insane. We're jamming 3 of this bitch in here. My god.
Yeah.
And still 2 turn to dust, 3
And
sneaky, and
yeah.
the board is kind of interesting.
Sneaky in the board.
I mean, I'm guessing maybe they're trying to do like some cheese into the decks where you go like turn 1 sneaky going second, then you hold gust up to score a couple points and be aggressive. But this deck just isn't
Fair.
really built to abuse that sort of line. So maybe that was just like his best answer to Aurora was he felt like he just needed access to more units to actually score
Yeah.
because he's only on
Score
the
points faster.
he's on the 8-2 drops. Obviously, your chosen champ, and then all that sort of stuff. So maybe he's not even. It could just be like a going for I don't know, like turn 1 Diana into turn 2 Diana plus sneaky to get your 2 points and start scoring in the post board. Since most people are on aspirants, what the fuck is the academy? Equal to its base cost. Okay, sure. That guy's academy maxing.
Academy maxing.
Academy
Academy
maxing.
maxing.
Yeah. Academy acceptable losses. So there you go. That's the tech. We figured out the Aurora answer, boys. You just duplicate your acceptable losses. Um, let's see. Kha'Zix. This is like the mid range list. Oh my god. I can't.
Broken.
What what in the fuck?
Look how sinister he is.
This is like the worst card in the set, and you're telling me this is top 16 in this event?
That's
Jesus
right.
Christ. Okay.
Broken.
Um
Winning combats, taking names.
that's wild to me.
I mean, other than that, the battlefields look pretty normal.
Um
Um,
yeah, I think this is a pretty classic lineup that I like with Kha'Zix. These are my 3 battlefields of choice as well. Yeah, all these spells are this is pretty stock to what I don't know if Akshan again over there they're obsessed with main deck Aurora hate. I don't I don't know what it is, and this is obviously why Aurora did not top quite to the levels that we saw, or did not quite have the performance, because this is just how powerful Aurora is a deck that people are main decking two Auction, even when they have like two Starcross in there. Otherwise, two Starcross, two Sabo, and just gotta have the two Auction here is crazy. Yeah, but this is like, come on, man, what are we doing here? This is the most bulk of bulk cards that's ever been printed. You're telling me you're jamming Sinister Poro? Um, this is just insane. I don't get this one. We get to ride the wind or Sinister Poro and push everything home. I mean, maybe there's like some decks you get boarded against, but yeah, I don't. Yeah, no set brawlers is kind of crazy to me. But you know,
Got three
maybe
on the side. Yeah.
maybe not necessary. I guess Rengar is maybe better in that specific slot, so this makes sense. But I think this list is solid for anyone who's a Kha'Zix enjoyer. Definitely give this list
Yeah,
a
other
shot.
than the other than the Boro, I think it's pretty solid.
Yeah, huge against 2 unit battlefield. It's just like there's so many better ways than playing. The issue when you have cards like this, right, is it's a 2 cost 1 might unit, so it dies to everything. If anyone's ever playing like Bellows Breath or whatever, granted those cards aren't super common, so you can make the argument that's fine. But you're also paying an energy for this card that also you have to play early enough that it's going to be able to untap and then attack, but also like not so early that you're just down a rune for the rest of the game. Like, let alone the fact that just 75 or 25% of the time you just flip double body on turn one, and if this is your only 2 drop, you just can't even play the card. Like, ridiculous. I don't know. But yeah, this deck has some of the most obnoxious lines that exist in the entire game. I know you're an Aurora player, so you don't have to deal with it, Anton. But let me tell you, the despair that you will have playing this deck if you ever play a real deck and they go turn one is Irresistible Faefolk on their Star Spring game going first.
Yep.
That is some nonsense. For those who aren't aware,
Colin
that
was definitely
yeah,
traumatized by this play.
yeah. I mean, I had the counter for it at the time. I don't remember what it was, that it wasn't too big of a deal. But yeah, for those who don't know, the Faithful can go into the Star Spring and they immediately flash in the Kha'Zix, trigger the Star Spring, send the Faithful back home. Eat your guy as a 6, gain 3 XP because they just went to combat, and the Faithful is there. So whatever your next play is that you make is going to move into the Kha'Zix, eat something in again, and just loop you out of the game. So it is nonsense. But yeah, outside of that, this deck's fine. I would consider Gusts, but at least somewhere on the list because of how good it is against LeBlanc. But clearly, LeBlanc is not as big of an issue over there as it is for us, so it's not as big of an issue. And yeah, they're playing lists with 3 Seal of Unity, so I can see why LeBlanc is not a problem for them.
Right.
What is this? Oh, this guy's on the hook list. Okay.
Hey,
This guy at least knows what's up.
he knows
It's
what's up.
pretty similar to our list. He's just doing the swap that I mentioned, one of the dignitaries for
Yeah, one
one
honest
broker. It's just fine. Outside of that, he's also on. Still has the 2 coals. We cut these. I think we just cut those 2 coals for 1 dragon, one Rift Herald, and yeah, actually, he probably just stole our list and then changed 2 cards, which good for him. Glad it
We're
worked
on the
out.
Dust Bros, or we changed the Dust Bros.
Um. Oh yeah, he's no, we aren't on the Discos. We're on the Aspirin's Climb, so maybe
Oh, right,
not.
right, right.
We're just 3 cards off, so at least in the main deck is, and then the battlefield. So maybe they took our list and adapted a little bit more to their playstyle. Good for them. 14th place Darius. That's interesting.
Bring
This
back Fight
is
or Flight. Chat. No.
no. This is basically. This looks very similar to the. Oh no, Grand Stratagems, Vengeances, and Seal Unities. Okay, maybe not. Shadows Calls.
I mean,
I guess
Darius
it's
has
fine.
been needing draw power forever, so I kind of like the Shadows call.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. You got a bunch of tokens in this deck with the Vanguard captains and Spectral
Yep.
Matrons for Vanguard captains and stuff. This is fine. It's a aggressive a deck, so it has all the faults that aggressive decks have in this game, where eventually you just run out of gas. But you got Grand Stratagem as your big finisher here, so
Yep.
crazy. I think the Darius deck's, oh my god, a second Darius has hit the top 32. This guy's on Carrion
Zero's
Dredger.
rejoicing right now.
Yeah.
God, this guy's on
Yeah.
Jins.
Should we be playing Blue Teemo to flip Under Titan off of Blue Teemo? No, now somebody's finally cooking. Teemo. Oh, this guy's in Jins, yeah, like you said, Ferris Winners. This is a little bit more of a mid-rangey list. I don't know. I think the Jin Battle Axe combo is kind of cute. You just have like an 8 might deflect guy that just ganks between both battlefields. It's not bad. But it's a little bit fair. Tactical retreats and stuff. This deck's fine. Alternate variation of Darius. I don't hate it. Anything else interesting? Where was our best of set? I gotta know.
It's
Randy.
apparently lower than Vi, so there it is.
Uh,
60.
okay. Wait, you said there was a Vi up here? Oh my
Yeah.
god.
47.
47th Vi. This looks basically like the it's not that different from the Draven Lister, so this guy has Hextech Gauntlets as a card you get to play, and he's like, oh, it's not enough. I need Blighted Battle Axe as well.
Yeah, he's playing the Jins, so ganker.
Three
Big
three
ganker.
Rengar keyword soups.
Oh, Rengar
Uh,
also another ganker
yeah.
for the axe.
I mean, I don't hate the idea of it. Just like ignore your legend ability and just like make a 7 or 8 might deflect unit that just gets a gink.
Yeah, not bad.
That's not the worst. You get tactical retreat as well as like a way to save it. That's not the worst. Um, is ubiquity a problem? I mean, ubiquity will never really happen just because of the color combination thing, at least on a base level. We did see it become a problem in set two when like there was like what 83% rebuke play rate in the top 64 of one of the China events, just because purple was so broken. So I think that'll really ever become the issue with ubiquity. But yeah, I mean, just with how this game is designed, you're always going to have some universal spells amongst the colors. But the only real issue with ubiquity is it makes games feel too samey. So as long as it's one color doesn't become too overrepresented, then I think it'll be fine. Because then it'll be a problem like it was last set, where it's just everyone was running rebuke. 83% play rate in top 64 is obviously not acceptable for a game where only a third of decks can even play the card. But
Right.
yeah. Is XP set still a deck in China? Let's see if I can. We'll
Didn't
take
we
a
just
look.
find that set?
Oh yeah, did I not pull it up yet? Was Brawler, uh,
Monkey.
Kinko Initiates. This looks pretty similar to the list I think Randy showed me. So it's like a hybrid.
Yeah.
He's not on the Yees.
Yeah, but he is playing the heirloom.
Yeah, and then I guess the only way to reset it is this one of Poppy that we have. No point with heirlooms. It's supposed to just be like a permanent +2 on your guy that is gonna get buffed and saved the whole time anyways, or just like put it on your brawler to get the extra +2 might. And then obviously we're just trying to do the sacrifice brawler interaction, which is cool. It's something that I gotta test myself too, to see if it's worth playing. And then, but yeah, a lot of these cards are just their lineup of Pet Rookie, Sea Monkey, Shepherd's Heirloom as 2 drops just feels suspect to me. Faithfolk is
So
such a
your
broken
thoughts on
card.
the two called the glory? I know you were talking about potentially going down on call.
Yeah, originally I had it, but for like actual tournaments, I think I would never be on less than 3/3, just because they always end up on one punch first and two call the glory, which I think is crazy. I will always run 3/3. It's just because like there's so many people that run into it in tournaments, and like you have to have it right in order for you to stop them.
Right.
So it sucks that like we're in a world where we're at the level where people are still running into it, but there comes like a point where, if I were maybe at regionals, I would go down on Call to Glory because I would expect the average level of play to be higher, if that makes sense, and then them
Yeah,
to
makes
run into
sense.
less Call to Glories. But there's just so many games that you win for free that otherwise you wouldn't, just because they're like, oh, forgot about that, and
Yeah,
then they just take their units
forgot
and they
about
just,
that free spell. Yep.
yeah, you just call the Glory your set, and now it's like an 11, and they're like, yep, and they just take all the units and they just shove them into the grave, and it's like, all right, well, I'm never playing less than 3 of this card.
Yeah, it's the same for me when I see a Volibears playing 2 Stormbringers or 1 Stormbringer. I'm like, this is a free card.
Yeah.
People do
So
not play around free cards.
3 Fey Dragon. Don't get me wrong, I love Fey Dragon. I don't know if I 3 of love Fey Dragon, but 3, it's it's a good card. So interesting. One of the reasons I wanted to look was I thought Randy said he got into this event, but I guess he didn't end up playing set. So
No, I don't think he was on set. I forgot exactly. He posted on Twitter what he was on, but
can I
yeah, I'm not sure. I
search?
don't think he made top 64.
Oh, here we go. It was on Diana. Yeah, I think Diana is
Ah, yes, it
recommended.
was Diana. That's right. That's right.
Okay, yeah, it's just playing Alan's list. Interesting. Fortunately, it didn't perform, but you know how it goes. Yeah. So overall, nothing too crazy outside of these couple of Dariuses. Maybe that guy's got a. Oh, I still have one C tier. All right, I don't think that's about
Yeah.
right. Sure. And then the one of Vi. I mean, I do think that whatever other. What else is Vi with Darius? Oh yeah, Vi is with Darius and Rek'Sai. So I think that strategy obviously isn't that bad. And Vi gets to do it a little bit better because she also has the gauntlets of just like put an 8 might ganking unit onto a battlefield. So obviously we saw that out of both the Darius list that got 20th and that Vi list. So
Yeah, the gauntlets are nasty.
yeah, we got a Lux in 46th. Interesting. Frigid
Right, Queen
Jewels.
Lux.
Yeah. They did it. I did see that they got the Ruination, which the best of Lux is playing 3 and Sydney. This guy was only playing 1, but they ended up cutting the um, Vanguard Armory for whatever reason. I'm guessing just all the natural gear hate makes sense.
Yeah,
Alex
everybody's playing it. You're only playing like 1 or 2 gears or 2 or 3,
did
whatever.
Alex did not go to Sydney. So I
No,
see some of the
yeah, he did
questions.
not. He
Yeah,
was not able. He was on vacation in Japan with his wife, so that's why he
yeah.
wasn't at Sydney with us. He will be at Vancouver. I think I saw someone asking, "Where's Alex?" He will be back in Vancouver. Yeah, he's just been vacationing the last few weeks.
If you go to tournament, the options are all. I mean, I don't think there's any tier 0. I'll put the for what it's worth. I do think that like this S and A tier decks up here are a little bit better than everything else, but yeah, this is kind of my gut reaction. Maybe like something maybe like more like this. Sure, I think Azir is kind of proven itself as up here with some of the top dogs, but yeah, somewhere in this range is my general take on the current meta. So this is
Asked, "We've got Vex at A. Why do we think it didn't perform at CCS?"
I don't know. Could just be no good players around Vex.
Yeah, like there's a lot of things factors that can happen as to why, but like it made top 8 at an RQ, it made top 8 at a regional open in China. Like the
Yeah,
deck is it's been making top 8s in the Runes and Rift events, which obviously are a lot smaller, but like it's been pretty consistently making top 8s here and there. So in the deck, if you've got a deck making any amount of top 8s fairly consistently, like it's gonna be up in the A tier.
yeah. So I think it's really just one of those things that, like in card games, people have very short-term memories when it comes to things, and our formats are very rigid. We're not like League of Legends or other video games where they get a patch every 2 weeks and things actively change. No, and when Set 3 comes out, like the power level of things don't shift at all, right? They're rigid, at least in this hypothetical universe where everyone's playing the perfect list and they're playing perfectly, right? Things would be very rigid. There's no patches that are going to change things, right? The reason why card games work fundamentally is because people get better, they learn their deck better, they make some edits to change their list, and those are like kind of the patches that exist. If anything, is somebody just changes a couple cards, and now my deck got better or worse based on what I chose to change out, right? So that's all to say that, just because Vex didn't top one random event, there's a million reasons why they could have done that. Variants, it could have been every Vex player lost every single die roll, and, whatever deck it is, whether it be Vex or otherwise, it's not going to make it, right? Could be there are no good players who wanted to play Vex at the event. Yeah, could be a lot of things.
Someone
Any
asked, sorry,
reason?
Colin, sorry if you answered, but any reason why you missed CCS? I don't know if that was the one you were about to.
Yeah, that was one. We'll say real life issues is about where I'll keep it. So I just couldn't make it out on the weekend.
Yeah,
But
same for me. I just had a lot of work stuff, projects that we're working on, stuff that we're doing for the YouTube that we're really trying to prep a lot going into Vancouver. So I just couldn't really justify it. And then with like the time zone change and everything and having to prep content for this week, I was just like, yeah, I think I'll miss this one. It sucks. I did want to go and I did miss the last one because of a plane cancellation. So still trying to
yeah,
qualify for the invitational. So the next two I'll probably be at.
for sure. So for me, as long as I don't have any overlapping events, then I will go to them. I think there's one PPG 25K maybe, and then I don't know what the next Charlie's one is, but we love Charlie's and everything he's doing for the community, so definitely want to support him whenever we're able to. Things just didn't line up for me this weekend, so yeah. But my tiering is basically like this, just because these are general consistency vibes and based on what we've seen, based on the matchup data. Obviously, the more data that we get from future events, maybe things will shift around, but at least based on the current data information that I have, this is kind of where our feelings are. You know, as much as I go on gut feeling as well, I am a very data driven. So saw somebody mention Israel, and it's like, yeah, Israel is a 50% win rate, and has some issues even more so than just like actually playing the game of Riftbound, where if it was to come to a conclusion with the pack deck, it'd probably be closer to A tier. But you also have to remember that this is a tournament structure where you're playing against an opponent who also wants to win. And if you ever lose game one with Ezreal, you probably lose the match because they can just stall you out forever. Um,
Yeah. Time
and
is a major factor with Ezreal.
yeah, there's so many more factors that come into playing all of these decks than just what we see on the surface level. So, um, yeah, that's where a lot of the stuff with that is, like, even talking to Alan, one of the reasons why he wasn't super interested in playing Israel and wanted to play Diana was because Diana can win faster, and he's like, yeah, the current Israel deck that exists is just too dirtily. It's impossible to win through time. So, um, yeah,
Is there a
but
way to build Vex that isn't a fully dice roll deck? Not really. Like, I mean, like we saw, like we were looking at the list earlier, like Draven Audacious and cards like the Boots to make it easier for you to gank over. Like, these are ways for you to kind of set point tempo back in your favor going second, or actually like close the game if you like just hold the 7 and then like use Audacious to score a point or something like that. But it's
hmm,
still like not. I don't think there's ever going to be a way you're going to be able to just build this deck to actually be like enjoying going second. I mean, there's no deck in Riftbound that's great going second anyway. But yeah, the you could just kind of like play cards that help you make second be a little more palatable. That's about it.
yeah, that's a good way to put it. Control Queen. B tier legends are like good, but need a good pilot, good matchups, good deck lists, so on and so forth. And it's basically just how hard you have to work for your wins, right? S tier and A tier have to work for their wins a lot harder than B tier does. That has to work there for the wins a lot less hard than like C tier does. In theory, again, it's all matchup dependent. Where even some of these metal card side quests and like low C tier decks like Ari has a good matchup into like Draven, for example. So if you just you only play into Dravens on your Ari run, then you can top with Ari, just something that's unheard of otherwise. Right? Yeah.
Yep.
You have some tools to track your deck list changes. Everything is done through Piltover Archive, and they have like a history. So if I really need to check things, then it can be
And
done that way. So
we provide those links on our Metafy. So if you guys are not aware of our Metafy or subscribe to our Metafy, then it's Challenger TCG. You guys can subscribe to our Metafy, and we actually have deck links for like all of our decks that we're testing. And so when Colin makes an update to a deck list that he's testing, you'll get to see that update live. You'll get to see the changes that were made. And yeah, we've got everyone on our team is updating their deck lists all the time. So we have
Yep.
access to that. All of our deck lists are up way before the RQs. So you'll always know what we're playing too. If you want to bring the same deck list and try to perform well on it, which we have had our subs do, then you're free to do that. We're not like gatekeeping this information or anything. So check out our Metafy.
Yeah, everything is public in our Metafy. Plus, you can ping Anton and ask him about all the Volibear questions if you want. We're all pretty active in there. Granted, I'm not the best at reading everything, but I openly tell people they can ping me if they have any questions, and I always respond to pings. So, yeah, part of the value added to all our Metafy. So somebody
What is
asked
Hook LeBlanc hardest matchup?
Diana, probably, if I had to guess off the top of my head. I think Diana's able to put up a lot of consistent pressure, and maybe Annie. Actually, Annie's probably the worst matchup. Diana's not as bad. Annie's
Something really
probably worse.
aggressive.
Yeah. They have to be extremely aggressive and backed up with like gusts plus Starcross. So not even every bad version of Annie would be that bad. Like I saw Prisman only had one gust in his list, and I was like, I could probably beat that if he's only on one gust. So yeah, any deck. Kha'Zix is also probably goes into that range because the one deck I lost to was Kha'Zix in the pre-RQ, and like I had like 3 gusts, 3 Starcross, like multiple rebuke, just wasn't ever able to touch the battlefield. So those are probably the 3 bad matchups for Hook LeBlanc. Everything else is pretty favorable in my opinion. So
Someone asked, how does Diana win versus removal? It doesn't. That's the
yeah,
it just doesn't. We were testing with Alonsky prior to the regional, and he kind of was smoking me and Colin on our regular dude decks, but then like Daniel played him with the Ezreal removal deck, and he was getting smoked because yeah, that deck can't really deal with removal. Like if you just deal with the way over and over, like their deck
yeah,
doesn't do anything. So
exactly. Oh, I do see an important ping. Manch asking if I love him, and the answer is obviously yes. I will
yes.
profess my love for you here, Manch, in front of everybody here. We love you, Manch. Our goat. Put a fun lethal set puzzle in hashtag set in Discord. I'll have to check it out at some point and see how fast I can solve it.
Is Jackson C too high of a rank? Yeah, maybe. He's
uh,
he's at least an Aurora deck. Like he could
oh yeah,
still just
it theoretically
play
could be an
he could
Aurora
play
deck.
Elder Dragon and Aurora. So
Yeah, it's kind of like the same thing as Lee
yeah,
Sin. I don't know. I don't know. A lot of these like in the B to C to metal things could shift up like
yeah.
one placement just based on like if you're a good player, me on set, that's like probably close to A tier. Alan on Ezreal, that's like probably closer to A tier. Like Anton on volley, that's closer to A tier, right? Like things can shift around a little bit based on lists and stuff. Don't ever think of tier lists as like an exact science. These are just all vibes and where I feel at the in the moment. So, yeah, that's that's the big thing. Oh, we got a hype train over on Twitch.
Oh, hey.
Thank you,
Appreciate it,
everybody.
man.
Oh,
You're getting hyped.
yeah. So saw a rookie dropping some
Shit.
subs at some point to get that going. Thank you, everybody, for the support. Make sure to drop your Twitch primes and give us all the Bezo bucks over on Twitch if you guys have it. It means a lot.
What would it take for Vex to reach S tier? She would need like a unit that was as relevant for Yi as Rengar was, but in her colors.
If you have weighted dice and you win every die roll, then Vex goes right here. So if that's your goal, then learn to win more die rolls. Don't actually cheat, but if you win all your die rolls, then Vex is the best deck in the game probably. So that's where it really comes down to. Let's purchase the LB Metafy. Will Daniel post his list before Hartford on what he intends to play there? Yeah, well, I'll probably have to edit it to whatever his Piltover archive link was because I think I put mine, but I haven't edited it. For all of our guides, what I typically do, obviously we have information in our Discord as well for anyone who's subbed. But in the guides as well, I like to put the Piltover archive link that we use and edit, just so people have access to it when if they want to. But worst case, you can always DM Daniel. He's always pretty responsive, and just tell him, "Hey, about the guide. Give me your list," and he'll send it to you. But he posts. We tend to be pretty active with the posts. The only thing that, as the asterisk that I'll put, is we are card game players, and we tend to do like some last second edits because we're, at least for me personally, I'm always debating between one or two cards in the last spot, and I'll like make a swap Friday at 11:59. But that's not to spite people. It's just because I was literally debating up until that moment. But it's always just like a one or two card difference. It's never anything that matters. So, um, what are the Zir list I would play? Are you team Death Grip or Sacrifice or Shadow's Call? I don't know. I didn't hate the list that won the last this one over here by Ipo2. This guy done. Oh yeah. Okay, this is just City Challenge, and then his rank was other at these things. So I think this list is fine. I like Guardian Angel as a card. I don't know if I would just sideboard the two. I'd probably just main them because like they're always good. You just put them on your zero and you just don't equip your guy with it. And it still works as a body, but outside of that, this looks fine. So Shepherd's Heirloom and set is fine. I don't like the card in my version, but I think in the Brawler versions it's fine. Gotcha.
Someone
Yeah,
asked, would you guys ever play a metal card side quest deck to a regionals just to see how far you could go with it outside of an Aurora deck? I think if we Daniel, well, no, not even Daniel did that with during Miracle era, so like that was actually
yeah,
still a real deck with Jinx. I think it'd be pretty tough to do. Like, just these are legends that like you'll be lucky to even hit day two. Like, it's gonna be a struggle to hit day two. So like, odds are you might just be out on breakers and like you're gonna go X3. Some other person's gonna go X3 and they like face slightly better, worse, bad players. Like, I don't know. It
yeah.
just seems like a little too much gamble for me.
We're all the types of players that want high agency, so we typically aren't the types that want to risk it all just based on matchup roulette, assuming that we can avoid it anyways. So um, yeah, that's the main reason why. Like, obviously, I play set as a meta leader, um, but I've performed consistently well enough with it that it hasn't been a problem for me yet. So if I really wanted to maximize my value, and I thought I could do it with any legend, then you would just see me playing Ari at all these events. But I think that it's a little bit too contested, and the Ari especially is historically had some nonsense involved with it. Is all that I will say. So it's not something that I really want to contest. So I'm very happy with telling everybody that the sets are mine and to back off. So that's
You hit some with the back off.
yeah, that's my set line. So, but I do think that we are kind of getting to the point, at least where Anton and I are at, where it's like, yeah, there's the way the pricing works, especially now because there aren't even top 8 promos, right?
No,
It's
I don't
down to
think so.
it's top 64 now, so you get a top 8 playmat that I think we're stuck struggling to get a grand for. I'm just going to grab my box to show off, but
Yeah, I hope they change that. I hope we do get like top 64 promo is cool. Don't get me wrong, but I would like top 8 promo and a top 64 promo,
yeah, exactly.
a top
So
32 promo. Like, yeah, these would be great
there's
things.
there's just no realistic pricing when it comes to things, and at the end of the day, as a card game player, like I'm here to maximize my pricing from these events, right? So the guy who got the best of Ari, that guy won the event more so than anyone else in the event, even maybe more so than the first place guy, because that guy still has to sell the first stuff. He probably will get a little bit more than the Ari did, but
Not that much more though.
not that much more. Yeah, and that guy, he literally there was one Ari that went 6-2, so he went six
Right.
two and won the event as opposed to the Aurelia player who like once you get to the top tables, right, and you see us in top 8 or whatever, top 16, getting to these numbers, we're playing against some of the best players in the world, and like we're all going to be playing perfect Riftbound. It comes down to a flip of the coin at the end of the day. No matter how good my deck is, no matter how well I'm playing, I can't ever get to be that much better than Prismat or Alan just because if both players are playing perfectly, then that's just how card games work, right? So yeah, that's why it's maximizing value will always be um, kind of the priority. That's why I think it's in this box, this bad boy right here. And to show it off for the chat. Here's
Yeah, I
my
think it's but I've been telling a lot of people too, because a lot of people are asking me like if I'm ever gonna play like a real deck,
best of
and I'm
set.
just like I feel like when I get to like regionals, that's when like I'm trying to win regionals, or whatever I need to place to be able to go to worlds. I'm trying to do that. So like even if though I think they did announce that there is going to be best ofs at regionals, but like I'm not going for a best of at regionals. Like I'm trying to get a worlds invite. So like I'll
Yeah,
more than likely be playing like what I think is the best deck there, like how I was playing Draven in set two in like the RQs, but then I play my best of guy during the main. I would probably just be playing Draven if
yeah.
the regionals were during set two, because that was the best deck. So,
China have top 32, 8, 4 enchant promo. Yeah, I think from for what it's worth, they're working on getting that to be the case for NA. They just originally when they designed this game, it was intended for China alone, and then there was such a reception for them to push out in the U.S. that they had to scramble to get things together for the U.S. and things move slowly in the corporate world, especially for Riot, for a company as big as that. So like it's going to take them some time to get to that point, right? So um yeah, so hypothetically, I'm winning Ari winning a regional. How much can you win? 100K. I think the most we've seen outside of the first one, obviously, the most we've seen out of the was the Blade selling for 40, Ari selling for 30, and then you get 6K cash. So, 76, maybe 80K at most is what you can win if you were to win on the most expensive metal that's sold up until this point. Hey, what's
yeah.
up, man? Good to see you. Um,
Wonder will the best ofs at regionals have any difference? I think there will still be some amount of players who like, they squeaked in at like 60 or whatever, and they're not confident enough to like take on worlds or whatever, and they're just gonna go for another best of. But I would imagine most of the players who did well enough to get to the invitational are gonna try to maximize their odds to win.
yeah, for sure. So. In what world did they think Americans wouldn't want another card game? Yeah, I don't have an answer for you to be honest. I don't know why they thought that they
Yeah, we're always
it
trying to
wouldn't happen.
gamba.
Yeah, exactly. We love our card games over here. So, do I plan on updating the site guide? Yes. I don't have an exact date as to when that will be the case, but probably in between um, Vancouver and Utrecht. I think there's like a week gap there, so that's going to
Yeah.
try and take a day or two to do it. Really enjoyed the meta. I'm happy most of the top decks are pretty affordable. Yeah, I mean, I think compared to the set two meta, we do have a much healthier meta. Um, I don't think there are necessarily problematic decks so much as there are problematic cards that exist, but even those have enough counterplay that it's theoretically not too bad. I just think
Yeah,
that
you could always hard hate out the really dumb stuff.
yeah, for the most part, anyways. My two biggest hater cards they have. I don't even know if I'm Aurora's biggest hater anymore, but I can't stand Celicorn Herder and Hui. Those are the two cards that
Yeah, my God, what a
yeah,
draw engine both of those cards are.
yes, those cards both annoy me to no ends. So those are like my two top of the list, and then after that probably Starcrossed, just because on a fundamental level with how Riftbound works, I don't think there should be um,
Base removal.
base removal. Like that's just too good.
Yeah, that's completely uncapped. Doesn't no cost cap, no power cap, no might
Yes,
cap, nothing. Just
yeah, I think that there should just be some fundamental limits, and having a 3 cost one no less with no downside is a little bit too much. So, and then after that, I think Aurora obviously, as we've seen, has had too high of a win rate, and those are the types of cards that are like meta warping, and that you have to be prepared for it just because it's likely to sit across the table for you. But it's also a small enough percentage of the table that you can't just like we can't just all be main decking 6 gear hates and hope that's enough, right? So
Did you
um,
get a feature match in Sydney, Colin?
I got one in
Asking if there
round.
were any videos of
I got
you
one in round
successfully.
10, but
You were the backup.
I was the backup, so I think I
Okay.
might have finished beforehand. So there is a recording theoretically out there, but just not one that I currently have access to. I can always ask. I think it's the same people who record every time, so I can always ask for round. Maybe it was round 11 backup stream or whatever. Um, yeah. So CCS 25K is July 11th through 12th. Okay. I don't think there's currently anything scheduled for that.
No,
But
not
maybe.
really.
It's hard to say. Um, yeah, July is currently, we kind of have a blank
Yeah,
2 months
July
in
and
between
August are
Hartford
kind
and.
of pretty blank. We've been looking to. Someone mentioned One Piece pricing. We are actually looking to go One Piece side questing probably during
Yes.
the Riftbound downtime. So
I got into every One Piece event in August, so we'll see how that one goes. It's just something to try, so I'm flying out every weekend in August. It's like Gen Con into um, like Oklahoma or something into Canada, into Barcelona for this game, into Orlando. So I did not play in Atlanta this weekend. I had real life obligations that made it so I couldn't go,
the weekend
unfortunately.
after Orlando is Singapore too. So you're still flying another weekend after that.
Yeah. Oh, is it? Is it really? Oh
Yeah,
wow. Okay, so it'll be six
yeah.
weeks and.
We're doing Spain into Florida into Singapore.
Oh my God, bro. Okay,
It's gonna be
well,
crazy, bro.
yeah, that's something else. So, well, when it comes to I'm going to events, hopefully I'm not burnt out by then. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, we're obviously primarily focused on Riftbound, but there are some like any card game is going to have some amount of downtime, right? So during those times, we'll do some additional side
Yeah,
quests and see how
especially
we
after
go.
LA, like we really don't like we don't even know when the regionals are going to be, but even then there's only like two events. So like after LA, which is like in September, there's like theoretically we don't know anything past that. Like after September, it's just the void. So
I'm asked to choose between Barcelona or Singapore. Which would we rather have them at? That's a good question. Um, I don't know. We'll have
I'd
to
probably rather
reconvene
go
on
to
that one.
Singapore, but
I
yeah,
think Singapore
for
will be
sure.
a very pretty city, but it's also a much more
It's also going to
difficult
be so
flight.
humid.
Yeah, but he's from Florida, so like
Oh,
he's used to
okay,
that
you'll
one,
be
right?
fine then.
So
Yeah,
I think the difference is like uh Barcelona is like an 8 hour flight and probably half the cost as opposed to Singapore, which is like a it's going to be like a 25, 26 hour flight for us from Florida based on when I made it last time. So yeah, and it'll be a lot more difficult for you to go to Singapore. Or yeah, quit your job and say fuck it. That's what we did. So
yeah.
Hooker Red Aggro Darius. I liked the Red Aggro Darius list that we saw from um the top lists at this last gen event. Both seem solid. There's one that got top 16 and then one that got 20th. If you like the mid range version, then you can play this. And then if you like to be more aggressive, then go with the Seal of Unity plus Vanguard Captain line. Because when you open that, you just win the game. So it's nice.
Someone was asking what do you have to place to get the regional invite? You have to place in the top 64, and invites they just confirmed do not pass down. So you do have to actually place in top 64 at one of the RQs,
Yeah.
and then you can choose to go. If you have one invite, you can choose to either go to, assuming you got your invite in one of these Western events, to the NA regionals or to the EU regionals. If you get multiple invites, you can go to both.
Yeah. Exactly. So that's the main thing. I think I have four right now, five maybe. I don't remember. So hopefully they roll over forever, but at this point I'm just qualified for anything I want to. So it's not too big of a deal. it'll be nice to go to all these things. So it's wild they don't pass down. Yeah, I think it's they probably will update them to pass down maybe in the future at some point, but they just had put themselves into an awkward spot where they didn't have any logistics to do pass downs, and yeah, Barca's
Yeah, I'm
eight.
personally not too like I don't mind either way. I think like having a more like limited invitational is also fine too.
Hmm. I better see you at both, Manch. You're if I can get you for both, I'll take you for both
Yeah, I do think the OCE folks got it rough though. Like anyone who queues in
at four.
Singapore or Australia is like, "Oh, I have to go to EU or NA. Like I have no option locally." It's pretty
Yeah,
crappy.
it sucks for
Nothing
them,
close
but
by.
I mean,
Yeah.
what can you do? There just aren't enough. There also aren't enough tournaments to have like a regional out there, I think, and see yet. So maybe for
Yeah.
future stuff they'll actually fix that. But yeah,
Yeah, I think like after they saw cuz I it was being
300.
reported at least that this was like the largest that the Sydney Arcade was the largest like Australian TCG event that's happened thus far. So like I would imagine if you see you're pulling numbers like that like you might Riot might pay attention to that and try to give them a little more support
Yeah, I
or
mean,
give them like their own
it
kind of regional.
Sydney actually did have like a pretty good attendance. I think it was like 1,600 or something like that, which is
Yeah,
pretty
we
close to
were
what they.
expecting like sub 1,000 and we
Yeah,
actually got
exactly.
we went way past that. So
We've had what, six RQs that exist? Manch says that there are 318 unique people. So 318 out of, oh wow, only 384 invites that are passed out. That is way less. So there's only 66 duplicates invites.
yeah, I think I saw
That's
something like that. Like there were only like there was a very low amount of people that had 2 invites or more.
okay. I know Alan and Prismat have like one or two more than me. Is Priz?
Yeah.
I don't think Priz is whiffed on the top 64 yet. Alan whiffed on one, so I think Priz maybe has six, and then Alan has five. So invites tab.
Yeah, the only people who are queued for all 3 I think are Randy and George.
We have so many tabs here. Um, yes. I guess. Well, don't they? I don't understand because they've had regionals in China before, right? Or they called something else. They're 2,000 person events where they have.
Those are like national opens, but it's still an open.
I see. Not
So
the
I'm
sheet
not sure
different.
like I'm not
When you
sure
linked.
which
Okay.
qualifies for actual regionals or if both do. Not sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how their system works over
Yeah,
here.
the
So
China system's all a little
there we
different.
go. So here's everyone's username based on it. Yeah, I have to get mine
Yeah,
combined at
players
some
with
point.
2 invites only 38.
Does this have? They combine it at some point? Okay, I guess so. So technically I have two different accounts that each have two invites, but I guess I combined it at some point. Or maybe I linked the same. Oh, you did? Okay, I was about to say, yeah. So, oh, Daniel's got more invites, of course. Alan has five. Dwelly has four. Okay, that's pretty good. Oh yeah, Prismat's the only one shooting 100, so good for him. It is funny to see they're all pretty big names that I didn't realize Duvall had played
Prismat
in
is just
enough.
slaughtering the extra invites. He's taking them all away.
Yeah, exactly. Not a lot of us with extra invites, and basically all of these are people that I know. Rockalo obviously being the best of his year very consistently. He's only missed a couple of times. Um, this is our good friend Rob, who is a very good player. It's not surprising to me that he has three invites. Randy, of course. Then, um, this is a name that's familiar.
My guy Perks, he's not
Oh
on
yeah,
here.
yeah, Perk, of course,
Yeah,
yeah, the guy from
he played
Seattle,
against
yeah,
him.
yeah, of course,
Yeah.
yeah. I was like, I know this guy, and it's yeah, I've played against him twice. So he was the last round, and Perk's an amazing player. He's played Aurelia most of the time, so good to see that he's got all of his invites. Um, Swag full Yellow 420 is
Alley.
Ali, yeah. So no veggies, of course. Um, TTA. I didn't even realize it showed up to that many events, but sure. Um, yeah, so all recognizable names that have more than the minimum number of invites. So. But I am surprised that it is this few that have dupes. Only was this 37 players with dupe
Yeah,
invites. So
38 with 2 invites or more.
yeah, only 28 wasted invites. Yeah, I mean, you also have to imagine that a majority of these people who have like this one invite, like maybe they were just moonlighting in Riftbound and they played in one event at the time, and we won't expect to see them. You know, people from Sydney as well. Brookhamptons. This happens sometimes.
Oh, am I broken?
Yeah, it just happens sometimes. I forget to tab back into making the Discord the main screen and it breaks. But
Sure, sure.
anyways, yeah, is interesting. So oh, and these are like the wasted spots, but these numbers are gonna go up as time goes on.
Yeah, for sure.
Given that technically the first people who qualified in Houston obviously didn't have. There was no way for them to be wasted events for Houston or Bologna. So
Right.
yeah, very very cool information. All of which is information available to everybody who joins our Discord through the Metafy. As yeah, the Manch is the goat. So a lot more wasted invites coming. Yeah, like I said, Sydney was obviously an outlier because not many people wanted to go outside of the diehard grinders like us, who we're gonna show up to everything. They're always going to be worth it for us to show up to. But for the majority of people, it's difficult to spend $2,000 on a weekend to fly out to that stuff, right? So, um, saw your win rate spreadsheet. I'm guessing any's isn't meaningful. 150 games probably not enough. Yeah, at the end of the day, like obviously I use this as this is the most information that we have for um, any events that aren't in China as kind of a guideline. But yeah, these percentages can change very drastically one way or another. Like 60% win rate is obviously insane, but was a low play rate on Sivir, and I think it had a lot of good players on Sivir. So there's just as many bad players that are bringing down the Aurelia win rate. So what matters is more the consistency across good players and how they perform. So definitely don't use any of these stats. All stats in every game should be something to, I don't know, just use as part of your knowledge, but not be the be all end all, right? There's like the most infamous one in League of Legends is the Medjay Soul Stealer stat where it has like a 70% win rate or something like that. So on a baseline, Medjay Soul Stealer is the most unbalanced game or item of all time. But the only reason is because people only buy Medjay's Soul Stealer when you're already winning. And kind of in the same vein, good players are going to be on specific decks, so they're going to have inflated win rates to a degree because of that. But there's also going to be deflated on some of these legends if they're too popular, where, if there's one good player in Aurelia and 20 bad players, then the win rate is going to look terrible in Aurelia, even if it is the best deck. So, yeah. It's my long-winded rant on data, and don't let data control you. Just use it as a tool like anything else.
Yeah. We've been going for a little over 2 hours now. Do you want to wrap it up?
Yeah. I mean, I think this is probably a good time to call it for the majority of our stuff. So if we have any last second questions, I can run through that. We're trying to make our streams a little bit more of a regular thing, especially because I want to get Twitch partnered on a personal level. And if YouTube does something like that too, that'd be very cool. So, yeah, we'll try and make this a little bit regular. It's been difficult with all the travel that we have lined up, so realistically, it'll probably be either Mondays or Wednesdays that I'll try and hop on and do this just based on how the week of my travel goes. I'm flying out on Wednesday for Vancouver, so yeah, that's why we wanted to do it today. And hopefully, I'll be back by Monday to do a couple of streams on that in between week. So, yeah, hot take for Vancouver. I don't know if I have any super hot takes, to be honest. maybe we'll say a CTCG member is going to take it all. That'll be my hot take.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though I know like the majority of us are meddling, so it's unlikely, but um,
Yeah, we have enough of us there though. So
yeah, maybe. So um, thoughts on Pike? We'll have video coming out soon slash guides, so go for that.
yep.
Born,
We should have a video dropping this week, kind of similar to what Colin did with the LeBlanc video, where we'll have Rossum, who's been writing the Pike guide and who's been testing it the most. He's going to be basically voiceovering some of his gameplay and talking about the deck a little bit, and then that should be dropping right around the same time as the guide. So check that out later this week.
yeah. Yeah, mostly on specifics for lists is what I'm seeing. Thoughts on Orin? I think the aggro deck is fine. It's a meta leader. I don't think it'll be better than that, unfortunately. But what does Lucian need to be more relevant? Consistency. It's just an inconsistent deck that relies on like a 2 to 3 card combo, 4 card combo sometimes. You need like Camel as well. But
Someone asked, how does friendly fire work when you pair in a tournament? I mean, it depends. Like,
yeah.
really depends on the situation. I think like Colin ended up having better breakers than Daniel.
Hmm.
So he ended up conceding to Daniel. I've done the same thing for Colin, like in the Florida event, and me and
Yeah.
Colin were still both able to make it to top cut. So I mean, yeah, usually it's just you'll try to come to the resolution where both of you could still make it.
Yeah, that's typically it. There's also like best of prizing, so obviously LeBlanc was more contested than set. So there were basically a million reasons why I ended up conceding to Daniel and not the way around. But yeah, that's realistically what it comes down to. Is yeah, we're a family challenger, so we'll always do what's best for the team, just mathematically, rather than trying to play a match and gamble on it, right? So. How do you guys test before an event? Do you think it's important to have played all strong decks yourself? To a degree. I think we just get a general vibe as to most decks are going to operate one way or another and have like a general central game plan that we can test our decks into. So as long as we know what it is, we don't think too much beyond that, just because I know that like the majority of the time when you're playing into somebody at a regional, it's not going to be perfect, right? They're not going to play perfectly. They're not going to know exactly what I have in my list. I'm not going to know what exactly is in their list. So um, yeah, that's just how it goes. So, um, yeah, we try to test whenever we have our list as much as we can, but we can't ever test anything. Speaking of
Yeah,
which,
it's also just really difficult to test every single, like when you have 40 different legends, like to test every single thing. Even if there's a few legends you can write off right away, like it's just so much to test in such a little amount of time. I don't test every deck myself, but one thing we do is like one of our players will have, like they'll be playing something. We'll have two of our players playing something, and then Colin and I will join in the call, and like we'll still observe the game. We'll figure out how the decks function, right? Like I don't necessarily have to physically play the deck myself to understand how the deck works if I just watch gameplay between like two high level players.
yeah. Um, so yeah, that's again, it's everyone's up to their certain level. Riftbound's a unique game where we all kind of have our own decks that we're working on, especially with the best ofs right now. So um, we just all work to test. Like if I got a test set, then they'll run whatever I need for me, and then I'll do the same for them, and I'll play the stupid decks like Aurelia and LeBlanc and all that. So um, yeah, so um, let's see. Cutest player concedes. Yeah.
True.
Guys buying singles. Always buy singles, especially off TCG Player. I think we have a affiliate code, so go to TCG Player and buy your singles there, and that'll always be more efficient than ripping boxes. Sometimes we'll rip a couple of boxes for fun and just to have like the commons and commons and rares because I like having a master set, but it's definitely less efficient than just buying singles. So always just buy your singles if you're just looking to play the game. So do you think Winger is good with the Dazzle deck in the current Dazzle meta? It's just another Dazzling Aurora deck if you want to play it that way. That's obviously what the best of and so was. So it's definitely not a bad one. I think Volley Bear is a better Dazzling Aurora deck in that color combination, but just always having access to that Rengar is also kind of nice. So. Do you ever test with open hands or record games and review them after? Sometimes we'll record games. Open hands are rare. Usually it will just come down to like the last turn to see if there are any alternate lines that we could have taken if a game was particularly close. But yeah, it's just whatever makes you feel like you've exhausted all the resources and whatever makes you think the most in testing is what I'll go for. So
Yeah, if anything, too, like even if our hand isn't open to the opponent, it's open to like the rest of the team who's viewing it. So,
yeah,
like people are discussing, the various plays and the different lines because
yeah.
you're still other people are still seeing your hand.
Yeah, exactly. We keep everything a pretty open form, as I think that's the best variation of testing is to, analyze as many different spots as possible. But there are some games that are just like blowouts, and it's like, oh, okay, there's nothing I could have done here. Scoop up and move to the next. And there are some games that are very interesting, and you obviously want to maximize your winning percentages. Where any game that you theoretically could have won, then you want to have won that game in order to
Yeah.
maximize your odds in card games, right? So
You want to see how you could have won that game. Like if you're just like I see so many people like testing like as if they're actually playing in a tournament, all this hidden information like, "Oh, I blew you out cuz you forgot to play on this one thing." And then it's like, "Well, you didn't really get a real game of testing." And like, yes, you might beat someone at a tournament like that, but like if they played properly and did play on that card, then like could you have still beat them? And if you don't get that data, like that's you're losing a lot of valuable information. So you should actually like try to rewind if a blowout thing happens or if your opponent should have played around something that doesn't and actually try to get a real result for the game.
yeah, exactly. So obviously those blowouts will happen a lot in these tournaments, and they do all the time. And that's how to how we get the consistent wins. It's at the end of the day, it's still card games. If everyone's playing perfectly into Prismat, you wouldn't have top 64 at every event he showed up to. I wouldn't have top 64 at all the events that I did. Right? Like it's a consistency thing. So yeah, just it's all about communication. That's what testing is, just like anything else. But last question I see, how often do you guys test? It just depends on how much work we feel like. I think typically the go-to is we're all in there to try and do as well as we can. So we test until we're comfortable on the deck and we like the list that we have. And then once we've gotten to that point, then we're content and we'll go do other stuff. But yeah, obviously we want to perform the best that we can. So we'll
I mean,
we'll
for the
test that sort
first
of
few
stuff.
weeks, Colin and Daniel were testing like 8 hours plus a day. I'd say like pretty much
Yeah.
every day for
Yeah,
like those first 2 or 3 weeks.
it was pretty
Uh,
consistent. I would take like maybe a
yeah,
day off to do some of our classes and lessons, but yeah. But once we got like a good enough feel of the where the meta's at, and we understand things better than most people do, if not pretty much anyone, then yeah, we shelve it
yeah. Then
and
it's
move
just
on.
about optimizing. Yeah,
Yeah,
except for like when the ban list happened, obviously we had to get back into gear.
yeah. So yeah, that's really about it. Thank you everyone for showing up. Um, I appreciate everyone coming out. Like I said, we'll try to make this a little bit more consistent. I want to be doing more of these streams and just for everybody out there. So, yeah, if anyone has any future questions, we answer all of our questions in the Medify Discord. It is $20 a month, but you get answers for any questions that you guys ever have in the Discord. Feel free to ping myself, Daniel, Anton, so on and so forth. Otherwise, we'll probably be doing this stream again next week and have a Vancouver recap, hopefully, where things went well.
Yeah,
So,
if you guys want to follow us and see that stream next week, just subscribe to the YouTube, or if you're watching us on Twitch, hit that follow. If you guys want to subscribe to us on Twitch, even better. You can use your Twitch Prime or give us some actual money. Either way, any support is appreciated, and we will see you guys next week.